of Terence Clark, as the car's now out onto the circuit for this first race of the afternoon. So good afternoon to everybody watching live on the internet, this Autoglim Classic Touring Car Festival, brought to you by the Classic Touring Car Racing Club from Mallory Park. We're all set for the first of 8 races for you this afternoon, all of them 15 minutes in length, and it's going to be first of all the Burton Power Blue Oval Saloon Car Championship. So that means, of course, it is cars all made by Ford that make up the grid. We've already had one race this morning for these cars. It was David Mathias that took the win in car number 87. He beat Mike Webb in the end, quite comfortably. He was about 8 seconds clear of the number 11 car. The driver that finished in third place was David's brother Scott, but the driver that almost pipped him to that final podium position was the number 23 car of Craig Rayner. Craig, who was running in second, challenging David Mathias for the lead, just had problems selecting a gear as he came down through the Devil's Elbow, I think on the second lap of the race. That caused him to drop quite a few places back down the order to about 7th or 8th position, and he had a lot of work to do to get past the likes of Ollie Allen and Jason Davis. It was very spectacular and sideways in his car, and Terence Clark to get a chance of going for a podium position. In the end, he was ousted by only less than just over a tenth of a second in actual fact by Scott Mathias. It was very tight indeed. These conditions, well, a greasy track now confronting the drivers. This may play into the hands of someone like Craig Rayner more so than David Mathias, but watch out too for Ollie Allen. The driver's going on to a second green flag lap here. 2 green flag laps because of the changing conditions. I was going to say watch out for Ollie Allen, but I can't see his car out there. I don't think. It was due to line up 5th on the grid, and no, we go straight from Terence Clark. In actual fact, no, we don't go straight from Terence Clark, because Terence Clark was due to start ahead of him, but we go straight from Scott Mathias and then Craig Rayner to Terence Clark, don't we? Just having a look at the cars as they make their way around the Gerrards Bend. So yes, we go Mathias, Webb, Mathias, Rayner, and then Clark. So no Ollie Allen. He's someone who might well have gone pretty well in these very greasy and difficult conditions at Mallory Park this afternoon. Well, I'm joined in the commentary box by Matt Stuckling. My name's Ian Sloman, by the way. Matt on duty doing interviews for the television coverage, which you'll be able to see on Motors TV in a few weeks' time, but also dealing with our interviews for the PA and live stream as well, and also he's joining me on the commentary in the races when he can. So we'll say a very good afternoon to you, Matt Suckling.
Good afternoon, Ian. Good afternoon, everybody. And hopefully for now and for the rest of the day, the showers have passed for some cracking racing to look forward to. As Ian's been saying, 8 races on the programme. We've still got second races for all the ones we saw this morning. The Alfa Romeo Owners Club will be joining us for 2 races very, very shortly as well. But now the cars are on their way around towards the grid, and they'll be lining up ready to get this 15-minute encounter underway. And it is going to be interesting to see how it all shapes out, because with drying conditions now and with a mixture of Fords on the grid, we know Craig Rayner had that gear selection problem in race number 1 for a brief second through the Devil's Elbow. That should be fine for this one, and he's up there as well to try and put the pressure on the likes of Mike Webb and the man who won race number 1, number 87. He pulls up onto pole, David Mathias.
Yeah, so Mike Webb on the outside of the front row in that blue Ford Focus. He's 49 years old. He's from Brighton, the finance director of AVS Fencing Supplies Limited, South East number 1 for fencing, decking and landscaping products. That's the end of that particular advert. Mike started racing back in 1997 for in the Castle Combe Saloon Car Championship in a Ford Fiesta XR2. He was the fastest Ford car that year. He raced in the Ford Saloon Car Championship for several years between 1998 and 2002 as well, before going on to race in the 750 Motor Club Hot Hats Championship, originally in a Mark 6 Escort and then in a Ford Focus. Further back on the outside of row number 4, and Jason Davis looks to be out of position. He's 1 row forward compared to where he should be. So Jason Davis looks to be out of position there. He's taken up the gap vacated by Ollie Allen, and he needs to reverse 1 spot if anything. But Andy Pike on the outside of row 4, the 53-year-old from Hawley in Surrey. He's a self-employed individual. 53 years of age. He's in this Ford Escort from 1976 with the Connaught engine in the car. He raced this car at Daytona in the USA in 2009. He's also raced in many European events in the last 4 years. Andy Robinson is a little bit further back on the grid, car number 6 on the inside of row 6. The 42-year-old motor trader from Cramlington in Northumberland. He normally races, as Matt said earlier on, the 7-litre Ford Falcon V8 supercar, which has had many race wins, but it's out in his hot hatch XR2 with the HT race motor this weekend. Matt Edwards in car number 34 on the outside of row number 8 is from Sutton in Ashfield. He's a 38-year-old garage owner who won the Toyota Super Road Saloon Car Championship back in 1995. He's done some British GT racing as well between 2000 and 2002. But that's all we've got time for, because the red lights are about to be turned on. They are now. 15 minutes of racing ahead of us here at Mallory Park for the Burton Power Blue Oval Saloon Series. The race gets underway. Good start there by Craig Rayner. It's Mike Webb that's left standing a little bit as they head down towards Gerrard's Bend for the first time. Is it going to be Craig Rayner in front? No, it's not. It's going to be David Mathias from Scott Mathias, I think. Then Craig Rayner in 3rd position and Mike Webb down to 4th. He is coming under pressure, in fact, from the Jason Davies car. That's going around the outside of him now to get 4th place away. But a good start to the race for the pole position man there, Matt.
Yeah, great start from the Mathiases, as always, in the Blue Oval Saloon Series. And another place lost for Mike Webb. He's been passed now by the 157 car of Andy Pike. And also, Ashley Bird dives down the inside line. Yes, it's contact as well. Ashley Bird clips the back of Andy Pike. He goes into a spin. He hits the barrier and is out of this race, unfortunately. There was 3 going into 1, and that just wasn't going to work.
Doesn't, so the leader's up at the hairpin then, and Jason Davis making up some good ground here. Is challenging Craig Rayner for 3rd position as they come back down towards us, but you can see there on your screens at home the damage to Andy Pike's car. He's going to get going again, but I suspect it might only be to go to the paddock, Matt. Oh, and he's going to have another slide on the grass as well as he rejoins.
Yeah, back to the lead of the race then, because Craig Rayner is all over the back of the 2nd place man at the minute, because the Mathiases aren't going to be there for much longer, I don't think, because we've got Craig Rayner in there. We've also got Jason Davies as well, putting a huge amount of pressure on the back in 4th place. So these 4 at the minute starting to break away. Just looking at how the running order looks, it's David Mathias that leads from Scott Mathias, then 3rd place Craig Rayner, 4th place is that of Jason Davies. Mike Webb's down to 5th, and there goes Jason Davies for 3rd place on Craig Rayner, and he is up there, and he gets a bit sideways through the corner as well, and I think we've got a pit visitor.
Yeah, it's Andy Pike into the pit damage, not only to the rear of that car, but to the front of that car as well, as Jason Davies goes up to 2nd place at Shaw's Corner. He's already passed Craig Rayner, now he's passed Scott Mathias at the inside of the hairpin as well. I thought earlier on it looked as if Jason Davies was a little bit of a rally driver style of driver. Well, he's certainly coming into his own here in this Ford Sierra Cosworth, if that is the case. He's up to 2nd now, Mathias down to 3rd, and Rayner 4th, as it's all happening further back in among the Class B and C battle. You can see Alex von Erheim, the former low-cost race winner, in a battle there with the Ford K8 of Gary Parks. But let's have a look at what's going on for the lead over at Gerrard's, Matt.
Yep, still David Mathias up there, and Jason Davies not really pulling away for the time being from Scott Mathias. He's trying to get on terms now with the race leader down the step straight for the 3rd time. That time through as well, Jason Davies did the fastest lap of the race, 55.059, and he was slightly quicker as well. Then race leader David Mathias, and here comes Craig Rayner, the man in 4th place, trying to get now onto the back of Scott Mathias. Is he going to look down the inside at Shaw's hairpin? Well, not for the time being. Meantime, still in 5th place, and a huge amount of gap between those guys is Ashley Bird. As meantime, Mike Webb, is he defending or is he attacking?
Well, he's doing battle with Terence Clark, whatever, and so they're about 8th or 9th, I think, at the moment as the leaders go through. And another best lap of the race for Jason Davis, and has taken half a second there out of David Mathias on that 3rd lap of the race, and he's catching the leader then, pulling away from Scott Mathias in 3rd place and Craig Rayner in 4th. And an off for Ashley Bird. He's out of the race. He's not come through. He's off up at Shaw's Corner, so Ashley Bird is going to rejoin. It looked like it overshot the hairpin. Possibly there might have been some contact as well, although that damage to his car could have been a legacy of the earlier incident with Andy Pike. Meanwhile, the leader's heading through Lake Essex for the 4th time, and still Jason Davis is catching David Mathias.
Yep, and he's getting ever closer up towards the hairpin as well. Is he going to be late on the brakes? He is down the inside line. Is that too much? I think it is. He outbrakes himself. He runs wide, and that allows David Mathias back up the inside to regain the race lead. But this is cracking stuff for our race leaders at the minute. Down through Devil's Elbow they go. That's That's still side by side as they come onto the straight. Inside line for Jason Davies, outside in the Escort for David Mathias, still side by side in towards Gerrards they go. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? I think it's going to be the inside line, and still holding the race lead, David Mathias. He's done it, and also a great scrap for third between Craig Rayner and Scott Mathias.
Well, those of you watching on the live stream have missed all of that, I'm afraid, but you're watching the battle between Simon Beament and Andy Robinson, which is for 6th and 7th position, and Beament and the Escort has now got through of the Ford Fiesta of Andy Robinson, but the lead of the race is still very much under dispute, and third place under dispute as well, because Craig Rayner climbing all over the back of Scott Mathias. It's Jason Davies all over the back of David Mathias as they got to the hairpin again. This is lap number 5 now, and again Jason Davies is alongside. This time he has the outside line, and he goes through. Does he around the outside? Can he keep it in this time? Yes, he can, and this time Jason Davies does make it stick. He takes the lead of the race at Shaw's Corner, and he comes through Devil's Elbow in the lead.
But David Mathias is not giving up. Who's got the straight line speed as they come through to click off lap number 5? Onto lap number 6 they go. First and second have gone through. There goes third and fourth. This time they're side by side down towards Gerrards. Craig Rayner on the outside line. It's Scott on the inside in the all orange Ford Escort. Has he unbraken himself into the corner? I think he has, and Craig Rayner may be looking to take third place away now. The final step on the podium. What's going to happen as they come back into sight through the trees, and they are still nose to tail now. Craig Rayner should have the speed down the back straight. He's looking towards the inside line, in towards the S's he'll go. Still Jason Davies leads this one, but still, for want nor trying, Craig Rayner cannot find his way through.
He can't yet, but there's less than a car length between them in this fight for third and fourth position. He has another go now. They get alongside one another as they're making their way up, but no, Craig Rayner has to look back in behind Scott Mathias as they make their way into Shaw's Corner for the 6th time now. So it's still Jason Davies leading, David Mathias second, Scott Mathias third, Craig Rayner fourth. Fifth is the 24 car of Andy Williams. In 6th place, 57, Simon Beament. 7th is number 6, Andy Robinson, as they go side by side for third place again. Craig Rayner's going to be on the outside line as they go down to Gerrards Bend at the start of lap number 7. Does he make it through? No, he doesn't. Scott Mathias holds on, or does he?
I think he does, although Craig Rayner's going to hang on to the outside line as much as he possibly can, hoping not to get squeezed out wide this time like he did in race number 1. He's still on the outside line, then the track ends, he has to get back in behind Scott Mathias down the step straight. This time he's not side by side, so he'll have to wait until they get towards Shaw's hairpin to try and look for another move, but it's not working his way at the minute. But the car's quick, Craig Rayner is quick, and the back end starts to step out as well. Last time through for the race leaders, Jason Davies extended his race lead by a very small margin. It's now down, or up, sorry, just under a second, with Jason Davies going slightly quicker. And here we go again for third place. Craig Rayner pulls alongside. That's still side by side. Inside line for Scott Mathias down through the Devil's Elbow. It's Craig Rayner in the slipstream. The power then comes back into him, and again he's on the outside line. It's going to be defended by Scott Mathias down towards Gerrards, and here come the back markers as well, Ian.
Absolutely, this is going to really liven things up. Jason Davies pulling out a 1.7 second lead now. He's actually in the invitation class, so he's not scoring championship points this weekend. David Mathias leads his class. Simon Beament leads his class. Andy Robinson leads his class. Andy Eason leads his class. That's the way of things. Alex von Erheim has had a good drive so far, from 18th on the grid up to 12th position at the moment. His blue flags now waving to the race leaders because they're getting well and truly stuck into the back markers now, and so far it just seems to have played a little bit into the hands of Scott Mathias in this third place battle. They've just got past I think that's the Alan Eason car number 21, who's running in 13th position overall and leading Class D, but still Craig Rayner stuck in 4th place.
Yeah, and he's dropped back a few car lengths on this lap with this traffic as well. Here comes race leader Jason Davies through more and more traffic. He goes through this time and leads now by still the same margin, 1.7 seconds over that of David Mathias, and it still goes on for third place. Craig Rayner this time I think towards the inside line, and again the door is shut straight in his face because Scott Mathias has got it covered. Has he run wide in towards Gerrards? He has. This could be the line for Craig Rayner. He looks towards the inside as they head on towards Steb Straight. More back markers to deal with. That's side by side. Craig Rayner now needs to get the acceleration down. He finds the speed. He's sideways again. That's still side by side. They're going to go either way of the back markers, and Craig Rayner is now into third place.
Finally he gets that done at the Lake Esses then, so this is lap 8 of the race with just under 7 minutes to go. Craig Rayner up into third place, so that's where one place better than where he finished earlier on. He's just coming up to lap, actually, the number 14 car, which is Malcolm Wise, who's in 18th position overall in his Ford Sierra Sapphire, but with 6.5 minutes to go. The lead is still being held by Jason Davies, 1.9 seconds clear of David Mathias. In third place now, car number 23, that's Craig Rayner. In fourth place, number 86, that's Scott Mathias. But it's a bit of a wait back to the 5th place car, which should be the 24 car of Andy Williams. He is still just rounding Shaw's Corner now, and he's being caught by the number 57 car of the Class B man, Simon Beamont. Actually, Simon Beamont is the Class B leader now in 6th place overall. In 7th place is number 6, Andy Robinson. In 8th place is number 11, Mike Webb in the Focus. 9th is number 30, Terence Clark in the Fiesta ST, who's just rounding Shaw's Corner now. And in 10th place is the 571 car, which is Tony Paxman in the Ford Escort.
I think he's just got through on that lap, Ian, but Tony Paxman and Terence Clark have been going at it for a few laps now. So Tony Paxman comes through, and Terence Clark and Mike Webb, both in this race, haven't had the race they had in race number 1. So these slightly wetter conditions not really playing into their favour for the time being. So they're slipping down the order as well. They're starting to be lapped by our race leaders. So Jason Davies has gone through, just turning through Gerrard once more. The gap between himself and David Mathias now up to 2.3 seconds, with Jason Davies on that lap going slightly quicker. Third place is still that of Craig Rayner in the yellow car. Has gone through, and he's not really bringing that gap down at the minute. It still stays around 5 seconds. 4th place then for Scott Mathias, and then we wait still for the number 24 car to cross the line. The Sierra, which now does, number 24, Andy Williams there, the all-purple machine.
Not much green on our timing screen. Green means that drivers are improving their lap times, and I think there is still some rain and certainly in the air, and so lap times are not improving. Only drivers outside of the top 10 have improved their lap times on the last lap, but many of the leaders, of course, are trying to negotiate traffic, including Jason Davis in the lead of this race. He laps that Tony Paxman, number 571 car, the Ford Escort Mark II. Davis now has this 2.9 second lead over David Mathias. Craig Rayner third. He's 7.6 seconds adrift of the lead, and David Mathias 12.4 seconds adrift of the lead. 4th place in a spin there for number 18, which is Lindsay Hutton from Marlow in the PC Motorsport entered Ford Fiesta XR2i. That's up at the hairpin, but Lindsay gets back on the track and rejoins the race.
So, as we wait for another lap to be ruled off for our race leaders, got a couple of the Fiestas going nose to tail through Gerrard's at the minute that we can see on the TV screens being provided by AMG TV for this weekend. Just picking up on Alex von Erheim as well. He's just heading his way through the S's, the man who lies in 12th place at the minute, and it looks like he's having a nice scrap as well with number 34, the car of Matt Edwards.
Yes, he is, absolutely, and he's not too far behind Terence Clark either, and he'll be very pleased with that, because Terence Clark has been Alex von Erheim's benchmark all season. He said he was doing a rain dance earlier on, did Alex von Erheim, because he knew that he's down on power. This is his best chance, and he's not too far behind here. The Class B benchmark. Oh, what a fire for Scott Mathias! Scott Mathias' car is on fire. Marshall's rushing to the scene. He's parked that car up at the bus stop chicane. He is out of the car. He's going to try and get the bonnet up now, but there's flames coming from under the bonnet of that Ford Escort up at Shaw's Corner. The Marshal going in there straight away with the extinguisher. Great work here by the Marshals here at Mallory Park. The red light has gone on and the race has been stopped, and I think hopefully that fire has been put out now. Smoke still emanating from that car, but great work from the Marshal, fast on the scene, straight away involved with his extinguisher, and it looks to have put that fire out relatively quickly. So hopefully the damage to Scott Mathias' car, which was running in 4th position, has been limited relatively. Well, dramatic end to that race. The red flags had gone out with 3 minutes remaining, so I don't think we'll get a restart for that race. It'll mean that the win will go to Jason Davis by 3.4 seconds from David Mathias, with Craig Rayner in third. Dave Fatt just popping downstairs to get some confirmation of that, as the Mallory Park fire tender is on the circuit as well up at Shaw's Corner, and heading to the scene to see if there's any further assistance that can be provided. But very efficient work by the Marshals here at Mallory Park, and it's worth just paying our thanks to the Marshals at Mallory Park, and of course at motorsport events all across the country. Unpaid volunteers, but with a great and high standard of professionalism. We couldn't go motor racing without them, of course. Equally, they couldn't indulge in their hobby without the drivers taking part as well. So it's a reciprocal arrangement, but many thanks to all of the Marshals who've turned out in good numbers at Mallory Park this weekend for this classic touring car racing club Auto Glim Classic Festival. Many thanks to them for their help. So we can see red flags then, and confirmation on the screen now of the running order when the red flag went out. So it's James Davis 3.4 seconds clear of David Mathias, and Craig Rayner third. and the results just being wound back a lap. They'll take Scott Mathias out of that in 4th place, so Simon Beament will be up to 4th in the number 57 Ford Escort. Up to 5th place will go Andy Robinson, number 6 in his Ford Fiesta, and up to 6th place will go number 11. That is the car of Mike Webb. And another car that we lost on the final lap there was Andy Williams, car number 24, because he was running up in 5th position, I think it was, just before the red flag. But he too has had his problems and had pulled off also at the bus stop chicane. Scott Mathias can see out of the car, just getting the overalls down, got his t-shirt underneath, and I imagine that was a pretty frightening moment for Scott to see the flames licking from underneath the bonnet in front of him. But quick work by the marshals, hopefully, fingers crossed, have limited the damage to that car, relatively speaking. Well, there'll be a little bit of clearing up to be done. The car's being sent back to the paddock, so we're not going to get a restart for that Burton Power Blue Oval Saloon Series race, but I can give you the results of a race that we had just before the lunch break now. It was race number 12 on the programme, and you can find the space to write the results for this on page 22 of your race day programmes, therefore. It was the Auto Glim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship race, and the win there went the way of number 76. That was Neil Bray. Second was number 4, Tim Scott Andrews. Third, number 142, Jason Christie. Fourth, number 8, Tony Gorman. Fifth, number 2, John Wright. Sixth, number 49, Mark Osborne. Seventh, number 80, George Young. Eighth, number 14, Tony Crutchington. Ninth, number 89, Mark Best. And 10th, number 28, Francis Butcher. So that was 76, 4, 142, 8, 2, 49, 80, 14, 89, 28, and that was your top 10. 15 laps completed by the race winner in a time of 15 minutes 32.892 seconds. 15 minutes 32.892 seconds, an average speed of 78.14 miles per hour. 78.14 miles per hour. The fastest lap of the race went to number 76, the race winner. That was Neil Bray. Time of 58.981 seconds. 58.981 seconds, that was 82.39 miles per hour. 82.39 miles per hour. So we'll turn our attention next to race number 14 on the programmes, which is the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Race Series. Hopefully we'll be able to hear from Matt Suckling with some driver interviews before too much longer, but I imagine it's just a question of rounding the drivers up, because the top 3 wouldn't necessarily have come through as they normally would have done had that race gone the distance. So while he's doing that, let me tell you about the changes to the programme. There's an addition in Class 4 here, and that is number 24. 24 is Richard Leggett. Richard Leggett, L-E-G-G-E-T-T, and he is an Alfa Romeo GTV. It's an Alfa Romeo GTV for Richard Leggett, and there's a change of number as well in Class 5. Number 16, Ian Daltrey, becomes number 17, so 16 becomes 17 in Class 5. Let me tell you about the grid then. You can find the entry list for this race on page 24 of your programmes, and the space to write the grid in there for race number 14 it is, rather than race number 13 as it says there. But it's going to line up like this. On the front row, 27 and 76. 27 is Ted Pearson and 76 Tom Shepherd. The second row, 66 and 92. 66 Ross Shaw and 92 Ron Davidson. The third row, 29 and 17. 29 Richard Mellon and 17 Ian Daltrey. And I will pause from the grid just for a moment because I can hear Matt Suckling down in the interview room.
Thank you very much, Ian. So our top 3 drivers down here in our interview room. And so have a quick word first off with our race winner, Jason Davies. Jason, hop over here. We'll have a quick word with you. A great race for yourself in the Sierra there.
Yeah, it was a good first outing. I was, to be honest with you, all weekend since first practice, I was praying it was going to be wet because it was my first time driving on the threaded tyres and I didn't like them at all, to be honest with you. So when the rain came, I was absolutely delighted.
It was a shame it was called a little bit early.
Yeah, it was a shame, but to be honest with you, I could see David was thereabouts on the mistake and he would have got past, so I was a bit relieved when I saw the red flags.
Is that your first of the year though?
Yeah, first race win of the year, so happy with that.
Great stuff, well done Jason on the victory. In race number 1, David, hop over here once again. Second place for yourself there. Not a bad race.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I was struggling with a bit of grip, to be honest with you, but yeah, he did really well. I drove mint.
Good for your brother there, Scott, having a fire.
I know, yeah. We'll have to see what's happened there. But hopefully not too much damage, else we won't be doing much more this year.
Good stuff though, great weekend for yourself, 2 podiums and the win of course as well. And Craig Rayner, over here you come, well done Craig, always good to see you on the podium. You had a few problems briefly in race 1, but race 2 not bad at all.
Yeah, race 1 we had a gearbox issue, which has kind of resolved itself, which is nice. So hopefully the ferry dust did its job. But yeah, no, it's good to be back out in this one. Good result, can't think for anything else.
And before Scott kind of disappeared, you had a great scrap going on with him there.
Yeah, I did, yeah, same again as the last race. But yeah, no, one day we'll make it nice and just get on with it, be good.
We now move on, Snetterton next.
Yep, yeah, that'll be interesting. Watch the TCVs go around as well, so there'll be a bit of a party going on there, I think.
Great stuff, well done Craig on 3rd place, well done guys as well, 2nd place for David Mathias and also race victor Jason Davies. Hang around outside, we'll get you for the TV cameras as well. For now though, we're going for Alphas for the first time today. Back to you Ian.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Matt. We're part way through giving you the grid for this Alfa Romeo Owners Club Series race. We've given you as far as row 3, so if your pens are still poised, row 4, on the inside 64, on the outside number 3. 64 is Ian Brookfield and 3 is Richard Drake. On the 5th row 14 and 79, 14 Will Dick and 79 Dave Messenger. On the 6th row 40 and 30, 40 Stephen Chase and 30 Alex Childs. On the 7th row 1 and 67, 1 Jonathan Griffin and 67 Alan Barron. Row 8, 63 and 24, 63 Greg Pye and 24 Richard Leggett. On the 9th row 65 and 68, 65 Bruce Atkinson, 68 Roger Motherwell. On the 10th row 57 and 91, 57 Terry Kenyon, 91 Chris Whelan. And on the 11th and final row number 78 Mark Dudley. Sounds like we're getting more viewers on the live stream all the time, so hello to you. Thank you to those of you who have tweeted in at 750 commentator if you want to tweet the commentary team, at CTCRC if you want to follow the Classic Touring Car Racing Club who've organised the race meeting here this weekend. Well, the cars are going to get 2 green flag laps here because the conditions have changed since these cars qualified first thing this morning. I'm afraid the rain coming down at quite a persistent drizzle now, which is a real shame considering we've got such a fantastic and large crowd here at Mallory Park today. Biggest crowd I can remember seeing for a car race meeting for many, many years. It's fantastic to see so many of you lining the banking. It's just like the old days. Right, the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Series. It's a one-off race, pair of races this for the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Series. I think last year they did try to have a few more races, but couldn't necessarily get the numbers out on a regular basis. So I think the focus of attention this year on this special event, supporting the Auto Glim Classic Festival as they did a couple of years ago. And a great grid of cars, 21 cars qualified, with Ted Pearson lining up on pole position. He's 46 years old, from Saffron Walden. He's the director of MPI Limited. They're a technical recruitment specialist. He has raced karts before from 1981 to 1985, so in his teenage years. Then he raced this Alfa between 1989 and 1997. He's had 3 class championship wins in 1990, 91 and 92. Also the overall championship winner in 91 and 92. He's also currently racing Ferrari 328 in the Pirelli Ferrari Formula Classic Series with QV London Ferrari Racing, but hopefully his Ferrari is in good fettle again, because when I last saw it at Donington Park, unfortunately it was on fire, and he had to retire from the race there. Last time I saw Ted race though was at Cadwell Park, where he won a pre-91 Alfa Romeo race there in this 1982 Alfa Sud TI. It's got the usual racing modifications, rose jointed suspension, AP racing brakes, fiberglass wings, bonnet and door skins, seam welded and safety equipment. It weighs in between 750 and 800 kilos. He's owned the car since 1984. It's been raced continuously since 1989, with restoration beginning in 2009. It was completed in 2012. Between 97 and 05 it was raced by Dave Thomas. Alongside Ted on the front of the grid is number 76. That is Tom Shepherd from Stratford-on-Avon. He's the owner of GTS Motorsport. He raced in special saloons in 1979. Also raced in the Star of Mallory Formula Ford Championship between 1986 and 90. He did Formula Renault between 1990 and 1996. European racing as well. with BMW M3 in the late 90s and early 2000s, and did some Brit car racing from 2004 onwards. He's out there in his Alpha Sprint GT. It's a 1964 car prepared to the Appendix K regulations, and it puts out 152 brake horsepower from that 1600cc engine. The car originally built as an historic rally car, but converted by GTS Motorsport to an FIA race car for Ros Shaw. Talking of Ros Shaw, she is next up on the grid. Problems on the grid though for number 30. That's Alex Childs, who's due to line up on the outside of row 6. He's driven through the grid and having to go back into the pit lane, unfortunately, so maybe problems for him on the green flag lap mean that he's going to be unable to take up his position on the outside of row 6. I can also see a gap on the outside of row 3 at the moment where Ian Daltrey, number 17, is missing, I'm afraid, so it looks like Ian Daltrey is going to be a non-starter. But just to tell you a little bit about Ros Shaw in car number 66, she's 41 years of age from Bromsgrove. Nice weather for ducks, as we can see on the TV screens. Not nice weather if you arrived on your motorbike and you're still in your leathers, I think. But Bromsgrove is where Ros Shaw hails from. She's a director of Larnaca Engineering Limited. She races in the Italian Championship. She's been on the podium at Monza 3 weeks ago, second overall. She's raced in the Daytona Rolex Challenge as well in the USA, Dubai and Portugal. She's in this Alfa Romeo GT-AM from 1971. It's an FIA Group 2 touring car. No more time for that because the red lights are on and the race gets underway. And it's a good start by Ron Davidson in the more modern Alfa Romeo from the outside of the second row of the grid. Is he going to get into the lead of the race then as the cars head down towards Gerrard's Bend for the first time? No, I don't think he is. It looks like it's going to be Ted Pearson then that is leading into the first corner, but Ron Davidson is up into second place as the cars make their way around Gerrard's Bend for the first time. Pearson and Davidson pulling away from the rest a little bit. It's Ros Shaw there in third position, and then fourth place I think is the car that started on the outside of the front row of the grid, and that of course was Tom Shepherd.
Yeah, and some of the worst conditions we're seeing today. This is going to be hard work for the Alpha drivers out there, but as you said, good start from the more modern car in the field, which is that of Ron Davison. He's there in second place, the kind of orange colour with the silver stripes on it as well. The man who leads though, number 27, Ted Pearson, for the first time in towards the Shaw's hairpin. And talking about Shaw's, Ros Shaw, she went very well last year, put on a cracking show for the two Alpha racers, and she's up there in third place at the minute. So they're all turning their way through, lights ablaze for the Alpha drivers, and lap 1 about to be completed for Ted Pearson.
Yeah, and it's properly wet now as well, isn't it? I don't need to tell those of you out in the banks there, and those of you watching at home can see that as well. Absolutely miserable here at Mallory Park now. The cars making their way down the Kirkby Straight then for the second time. It's still Pearson that's leading. Ron Davidson is in second place then in that Alfa Romeo GTV. In third place it's Ros Shaw in the FIA Group 2 touring car, and then appropriately enough in the weather conditions, the car in fourth place belongs to car number 3, and that's Richard Drake. It's his Alfa Sud. As I said, nice weather for ducks.
It certainly is, and this could be a race where it kind of turns around, because we had dry qualifying, of course, so the guys or girls who went quicker in qualifying in those dry conditions may not be as quick in the wet, so it could see a few of the quicker drivers towards the front falling back and some of the slower ones coming towards the fore as this race goes on. So we'll keep an eye on how that all shapes out. Ros Shaw at the minute is getting sideways, very sideways into the hairpin. She loses it on the back end, it spins round, and we've got someone else on the grass as well. That is the number 79 car who goes for a pirouette.
Dave Messenger.
Yeah, so he does the same. Anyone else want to follow, make it a trio of cars down there? I don't think so, but yellow flags wave, and neither of those for the time being have rejoined.
But there's not a lot of grip to be found on that grass, certainly now, and that's been the problem for Dave Messenger. It's dislodged his front bumper as well, I think. He gets back onto the circuit now, he's rejoined right at the back of the field. The leader though, Ted Pearson, has gone through. He's 1.3 seconds ahead of Ron Davidson, and now it's Richard Drake that's up into third position with that spin for Ros Shaw. Fourth then is Tom Shepherd, and fifth is the number 64 car, which is Ian Brookfield. He's in the Alpha Sud TI that started 7th on the grid, completing the top 6. It's number 63, and that's Greg Pye. A great drive from him over the first 2 laps. He started 15th, he's made up 9 places. Yep,
Ros Shaw, after rejoining, has just gone across the line down in 18th place, so a lot of work to do for Ros now, as our race leader turns his way in towards Shaw's hairpin now for the third time, which is that of Ted Pearson. Last time through did the fastest lap of the race, 107.125, so the times really dropping off now like they were in qualifying. So they turn their way through the Devil's Elbow, still on the tail and trying to push on hard is Ron Davison. Is this gap coming down? It was 1.3 seconds previous time round. It's exactly the same, 1.3 between the top two.
Okay, looking further back, there's a good battle for 8th position backwards, and it's Will Dick in car number 14 at the head of that battle. He's just ahead, actually, of Ian Daltrey, who I thought was a non-starter, but may have started from the back of the grid. The 46-year-old surgeon from Inverness is in 9th position, and he is hassling Dick now for 8th position. Will Dick, the 70-year-old from Dudley in the West Midlands, a retired Alpha mechanic. He raced minis in the 1970s, did Will Dick, but he's lost a position here now as the number 17 Alpha Sud TI of Ian Daltrey goes through. So Will Dick's GTS Junior goes down a position to spot on the grass. Was that the second position man on the grass there? I think it might well have been Ron Davidson. I just saw on our TV pictures a car on the grass. It might well have been Ron Davidson. It looks like it is, because Ted Pearson, Matt, is now out on his own.
And has Ron Davidson spun, because he is not there in second, he's not there in third. The man up now into second place has come the number 3 car, which is that of Richard Drake. So he's there in the order. There is Ron Davison rejoining. He then runs wide again up at the hairpin, but I think he's now off the podium for sure. But how much further down has he dropped? We'll wait and see and clarify that for you as they come through. But you can see now down at the S's, the water is getting very intense, because there's puddles starting to appear for these guys.
Absolutely, proper rooster tails of spray being kicked up as well. We've had just under 5 minutes of this race, 4 laps completed, with Richard Drake now up into second position. It's 5 seconds still behind Ted Pearson. It's Tom Shepherd third. Ron Davidson did continue in 4th place. Ian Brookfield there is the next driver through in 5th position. That's car number 64, the 52-year-old service advisor from Byfleet. He's been racing Alfa Romeos for nearly 25 years now. He won the auto. Oh, what a spin as I took about that for number 17, Ian Daltrey at Gerrard's Bend. He's just nosed into the barriers there. He was doing battle, I think, with the number 29 car of Richard Merrill, but pushed just a little bit too hard. Not much grip to be found around there. The car got away from him. It just nosed gently into the barriers. Don't think there'll be too much damage to that, but he's got the difficulty now of trying to get back onto the circuit and into the race. He'd made good progress to 8th position in car number 17. He was 16th at the end of lap 1, but he's probably back down to about 16th place now as we wait for the leaders to come through. And now the gap has come right down, hasn't it, Matt, between first and second, because Richard Drake only half a second behind the 2 leaders.
Yeah, and he was 5.1 at the end of the last lap, so this is really going to be a fight for the lead now. Where Richard Drake has got this speed from, I do not know, but Ted Pearson is now going to start feeling the pressure as they turn through Gerrard's, and then not too far back from that is also the 3rd place car, number 76 of Tom Shepherd. So these 3 cars are very shortly to be won, especially the top 2, because once again a good run on towards Step Straight, back markers in the way to deal with, and it looks like Richard Drake is looking towards the inside line on Ted Pearson. The back marker then just gets slightly in the way, which means he has to back out of it in towards the S's, and here comes that man in 3rd place as well, Tom Shepherd. So more spray being kicked up for these guys side by side through the S's. On the inside line is going to be that of Richard Drake as they head up towards the braking zone, Foreshaw's hairpin, and yes, down the inside line to take the lead away in this first Aston Alfa Romeo Owners Club race is going to be Richard Drake, and I think as well Tom Shepherd's not going to be far behind in follow him.
No, it's not, is he? It's going to be 3 cars for the lead then. So it's Drake now that leads the race. Second is Ted Pearson, but he now is really under pressure from Tom Shepherd, the former star of Mallory Ford 1600 racer, goes up into second position. Now, has Ted Pearson got a problem? I can see that the side windows of that car seems, I think his windscreen is okay though. I just wondered if he possibly couldn't see where he was going, but I think he's alright, but definitely slowing, and he might well lose another position too much longer. I think Ted Pearson probably has a problem with that car, because Ron Davidson has nearly caught him up once more and is pretty much with him now as they turn their way through Gerrard's Bend.
It might just be for Ted Pearson that he's not as confident in these wet conditions than the other guys around. He's not using as much power. That means in turn Ron Davison now goes through into 3rd place, so in the space of less than a lap it seems that Ted Pearson has gone from 1st to 4th place. Meantime, up front is Richard Drake, and he's trying to pull away now from Tom Shepherd. Is that the gap that was the same previous time round is going to be about the same this time as well. 1.5 seconds with 6 laps completed, and locking up the race leader Richard Drake goes straight on. He finds the puddle, he finds the grass, and it looks like he's not going to be getting out there very quickly. He now powers it back up. He didn't lose any engine speed, but he has lost a huge amount of time, so all that hard work he put in to pass in Ted Pearson, he's now got to do it all again because he drops down to 4th place.
Maybe not such good weather for ducks then. So Richard Drake drops down the order. That means that another car off at Edge Wieners is the number 24 car, which is Richard Leggett. Through in the lead then has come Tom Shepherd. Ron Davidson now back up into second place, then in car number 92. He's 4 seconds behind the leader. In third place, it's the number 27 car, who we find ourselves talking about for the first time in this race. That is... It's not actually in our programme. Oh, it is. That's Ted Pearson, of course, isn't it? Silly me. In fourth place is the number 3 car of Richard Drake. Now, fifth is Greg Pye, and sixth is the 29 car, the Alfa Romeo Giulia of the Inverness driver. Great to have such good Scottish support this weekend, and that is Richard Merrill.
Yeah, and just looking back out on circuit, it seems Richard Drake has now found his way past once again Ted Pearson. So Ted continues to just breeze around the circuit, and he can't find the speed he once had at the start of this race. So Richard Drake now back on the attack to see if he can get on terms with Ron Davison first off in second, and then also our race leader Tom Shepherd up there, who is coming around very shortly to do another lap with just under 6 minutes to go.
Over the line to complete a lap goes Roz Shaw, by the way, who was up in the top 3 early on. She's in 14th position in car 66. The spin, it's Ron Davidson.
Yep, he loses it coming through Devil's Elbow. There's also a car behind who's also going slow down the hill, so not too sure if there's problems before that. Here comes Ted Pearson now, who once again takes that place away. There has been a slow car here coming in, hand in the air. That's number 78, which moseys down, Mark Dudley.
Yeah, so Mark Dudley out of the race in car 78 in the Alfa Romeo Alfetta. So Davidson does finally go through. He's back to 4th position, where he was in an earlier part of this race. The leader then is Tom Shepherd, 12.9 seconds clear of Ted Pearson now. Richard Drake is 3rd, another 2.4 seconds back, while Davidson 4th, Greg Pye 5th, and Richard Merrill is in 6th position. Lots of different classes in this race, so nearly everybody's a class leader.
And it seems in this race as well, Ian, no one wants to finish on the podium, because as soon as they get there, they then chuck themselves off for some strange reason. But Tom Shepherd remains the race leader, just turning now through Shaw's hairpin once again. He's got that margin back to Ted Pearson, who once again is back up into second place. Richard Drake, we'll see what kind of move he can do just to try and find the way through once again. There goes the recovering Roz Shaw once more. Any more progress for Roz? Yep, up one more place into 13th now. Meantime, this battle for second, Ted Pearson and Richard Drake just coming out of the hairpin, down through the Devil's Elbow, and Richard Drake once again can't find the speed to get onto the tail of Ted Pearson. Maybe it'll come down the straight here, I think it will, and it could be a change for second.
Keep an eye on that. The gap has certainly come down between those two cars to 0.3 of a second. Richard Drake now jigs to the left hand side of the circuit, and he goes through ahead of Ted Pearson now at the start of lap number 10. There's 4 minutes and change of this race remaining.
Ron Davison is still there in 4th place, and then just looking back further through the field, there goes the number 63 car across the line in 5th place, which is Greg Pye. Then we see in 6th place number 29, which is Richard Merrill. Behind that, number 64 just crossing the line now and running down in class number 5 is Ian Brookfield, and then we see Will Dick coming through in 8th place. 9th place for the 57 car next through, Terry Kenyon, and then behind that, rounding out your top 10, is the number 79 car, another man who had a problem at the hairpin, which is Dave Messenger.
Okay, so Ted Shepherd, barring any mistakes, is looking pretty good in this race now. I think this is him now heading back towards us to complete lap number 10 of this race, as it is in car number 76, that car that was originally a rally car, and now a very effective racing machine, having been converted by GTS Motorsport. And he's got a very healthy lead now over Richard Drake in 2nd position after he outbraked himself at the hairpin a few laps ago. The gap has come in a little bit this time, but it's still over 15 seconds. Ted Pearson 3rd, and I think he's about to be attacked by Ron Davidson for that final podium position. They're making their way into Gerard's bed now. The door somewhat being left open by Ted Pearson, but Ron Davidson unable to get alongside into the right-hander.
Yeah, I think it won't be before long before we have Ron Davison making that move. He'll try and get the power down then on the exits of Gerrard's. He'll find a little bit more speed than Ted Pearson surely in this more modern car, and as soon as he does, he should be up into 3rd place. So he should be back on the podium like he was earlier on. Yep, once again he goes through on the inside line, 3 steps straight, and he's now into that place. So with the time running out, 2.5 minutes to go, Tom Shepherd very shortly to turn his way back towards the end of another lap, and he should squeeze in, time being on his side. It's going to be tight actually, it may be 3, it may just be the 2.
Let's wait and see. He's coming up to the line now, well and truly stuck into the traffic. He's about to lap the number 30 car, which is Alex Charles. That was the car that headed for the pit lane off the grid, so must eventually have started from the pit lane, but Shepherd has gone through, and yeah, it'll be touch and go whether he gets 2 laps or 3 out of this. There is our 2nd place man, Richard Drake, and just behind him is number 1, which is Jonathan Griffin, the 49-year-old video producer from Reading. He's out there in his 1971 Alfa Giulia Super. He's got a 2-litre race motor and a limited slip diff in. engine prepared by Age Motorsport. It's a car that Jonathan has owned for well over 20 years. Purchased originally from Jonathan Smith, who raced a Morris Minor now in the Classic Saloons. Meanwhile, what is going on here? We're looking at Alex Childs and the battle that he is stuck into. Also on that part of the track is Dave Messenger, who's back up to 9th position after his earlier spin.
Yeah, still with that bodywork damage on the front of the car. They're just about to be lapped by race leader Tom Shepherd as they turn their way towards Devil's Elbow for another time. Meantime, further down the field, looking at 5th place, which is Greg Pye. He is not too far ahead at the minute of Richard Merrill, number 29. That is our race leader running wide at Devil's Elbow there, so pushing a little bit too hard to try and find his way past the back markers, and it should be last lap now with less than a lap time to go. So through goes Tom Shepherd. Still there in 2nd place, Richard Drake comes through. Is he closing that gap as well? 7.8 seconds. Yeah, that lap had come down 4.5 seconds.
Is he going to make up 7.8 seconds on the final lap of the race? That is a tall order, isn't it? Last lap board has gone out then to Tom Shepherd in the lead of this race. He started on the outside of the front row of the grid. He was 0.6 per second slower than Ted Pearson in qualifying, but of course conditions in the race very different to what we saw earlier on this morning. So Tom Shepherd it is that's turning his way through the Lake Essex now, just behind that Dave Messenger car, which is 9th, and that Alex Childs car, which is 18th. So another lap down again. Still Richard Drake in 2nd, and Ron Davidson in 3rd, Ted Pearson in 4th. So up to Shaw's Corner for the final time goes our race leader then. He turns his way now. No, there's not really any pressure to get past these back markers, so I don't think he would necessarily try to as they come back down the hill towards us for the final time. Dave Messenger will go on to his final lap, so will the 30 car of Alexander Childs, but the win is going to go to number 76, and that is Tom Shepherd. He'll be very pleased with that. The Stratford-on-Avon driver, the owner of GTS Motorsport, ex-Formula Ford 1600 racer here at Mallory Park as well, takes the win. Richard Drake 7.6 seconds behind in 2nd place. Ron Davidson yet to come through. Yes, he has now come through in 3rd place. Ted Pearson in his Alpha Sud TI is in 4th position, but you can see just how streaming wet it is as the cars go past. 5th place is going to go the way of number 63, Greg Pye, and that's a good effort from Greg, up from 15th on the grid in his Alpha Sud. 6th place to number 29, Richard Merrill, who started 5th on the grid. But the best lap of the race went to Ted Pearson in fact in the very early stage of that race, probably before the rain got particularly intense, so 1 minute 6.166 seconds, but the conditions I think really turned ever more horrible as that Alfa Romeo Owners Club Series race went along. So Matt Suckling is going to head downstairs to try and grab a word with our top 3. I'm sure they'll be very glad to get into the interview room because it'll at least be nice and dry in there. Hopefully this rain will pass over before too much longer, because I know it's very miserable for all of you on the banking. At least at Mallory Park you can see a good part of the circuit from your cars if you are up in one of the elevated positions on the banking. Do hope that you're watching the racing from there with the roof over your head and enjoying the racing. You can see some marshals just being dispatched up at Shaw's Corner, possibly to try and deal with some oil on the circuit, although when you've got oil on a wet circuit there's not a lot you can do about it. There though we can see the results of the 14th race of the weekend, the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Series race. The win going to Tom Shepherd, 7.6 seconds clear of Richard Drake in 2nd place in car number 3. In 3rd place in the Alfa GTV was Ron Davidson, number 92. In 4th place was number 27, the pole position man, Ted Pearson. Great drive from Greg Pye, he climbed from 15th to 5th, and completing the top 6 was Richard Merrill. Ian Brookfield, Will Dick, David Messenger and Ian Daltrey completed the top 10 in the Alfa Romeo Owners Club race, and there's another of those later on today to round off our programme. So we're going to turn our attention next back to the SVG Motorsport Pre-93 touring cars. We saw these out earlier on today, and a very entertaining race between Jim McLaughlin and Jack Stanford. Jack's tyres went off during the course of that race, and that allowed Jim to get through 4 or 5 laps from the end to take the win. You can find the entry list for this race on page number 14 of your programmes. So if you'd like to make a couple of notes to make amendments to the programme. Add in car number 15. This is in Class B. Car 15, Class B, Craig Jameson in a Ford Sierra Cosworth. Ford Sierra Cosworth for Craig Jameson. Also in Class B, delete number 31, Nigel Olive Jones. Delete number 31, Nigel Olive Jones. And an addition to Class C as well is number 12, Jack Stanford. Number 12, Jack Stanford in a BMW M3. Jack Stanford, number 12, BMW M3. So those are the changes to the programme. Let me give you the grid then for what will be another 15-minute race. It's going to line up like this. On the front row, 6 and 12, 6 Jim McLaughlin and 12 Jack Stanford. On the second row, 46 and 7, 46 Dave Hickton and 7 Richard Miller. The third row, 88 and 14, 88 Paul Bellamy and 14 Malcolm Wise. On the fourth row, 5 and 76, 5 Mark Fowler and 76 Neil Bray. Row 5, 30 and 99, 30 Leonard Oliver, 99 Nick Haldane. The sixth row, 56 and 35, 56 Mike Sheraton, 35 Derek Bowley. Row 7, 79 and 37, 79 Simon Sheridan, 37 Graham Ewings. On the eighth row, 26 and 64, 26 Alan Wayman and 64 Amanda Ewings. Row 9, 29 and 15, 29 Robin Oliver and 15 Craig Jameson. And on the 10th and final row, 44 and 50, 44 Cliff Ryan and 50 Paul Coolham. Down in the interview room, ready to talk to the top three from the Alpha race is Matt Suckling.
Right, Ian, we've got our top three down here. Tom Shepherd, pop over here for a quick word. That was a nice, interesting race for yourself.
Yes, very much so. Fortunately, one or two of the people in front of me threw it off, and it got a little bit wet in the middle. Had one or two little dramas. Engine was starting to misfire towards the end, and a lot of people not really looking at the flags.
Yeah, the rain got a lot heavier during that one. It's something you obviously like.
No, it was fine. It's the first time I've driven in the rain for probably 20 years.
Well, great stuff. You've got race 2 to come.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do the same again. This is the first time I've won at Mallory. It was the first place I won in 1979, so it's nice to repeat it.
Great stuff. Well done on the victory, Tom. A quick word as well with our second place man, Richard Drake. Richard, a great drive from yourself there. It seemed a race where nobody wanted to finish on the podium.
Well, I think it's just bad weather and wet, obviously, but front-wheel drive, luckily, and not too much power. I managed to keep going. But I did have a couple of straight-ons at the hairpin, but managed to recover that.
It's nice to see the Alphas out, and as always someone to battle with.
Oh, yeah, plenty of opposition around. Yeah, you can't let up too much.
Well done on second place. Good luck for race 2.
Thank you very much.
And also a word with Ron Davison. Ron, a great race for yourself there. Nice to see a more modern Alpha the race there, and you enjoyed that one?
Two good, but it is difficult out there, you know, trying to see where you're going, and the grip is not there. But great race. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the standard driving was actually good, so I'm very pleased, and I'm delighted for my team that we managed to get something.
Circuit.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite circuits, to be honest. I held the lap record here in a 164 for 3 years, and I was trying desperately hard to beat it this morning, which I did. So great. I do enjoy this track. I think long may it continue as far as I'm concerned. It's a great track.
Yeah, here. We've got race 2 to come. Hoping for another podium?
Yes, we'll try. You know, if it's dry, I think it would be better. But, it was good anyway, so I enjoyed it.
Sounds good. Well done, Ron, on third place. So, Ron in third place. Second, Richard Drake and our race winner for that one, Tom Shepherd. Right then, we're back to pre-93 action. It's the SVG Pre-93 Touring Car Championship. And once again, back up to the dry, and Ian Soman.
Yes, thank you, Matt. Some particularly sorry-looking umbrellas now I can see over on the spectator banking. Meanwhile, the marshals have been hard at work up at Shaw's Corner, and we commented during the course of that race on the puddle that had appeared on the circuit at the hairpin, while the marshals now doing their best to sweep the rainwater away as the rain is still falling. But what they have tried to do is dig out a bit of a drainage channel into the grass there to allow the water to soak away a little bit and not just collect on the circuit. So that's work currently underway at Shaw's Corner, which will hopefully be sorted, ready for the next race, which will be the Pre-93s. They'll be out very shortly. While we're waiting for those, let me give you another result. For those of you who are able still to write in your programmes, possibly you've managed to keep it dry, maybe you're still in your car, but for those of you who want to fill in the results of race number 13, which was the Burton Power Blue Oval Saloon Series, page 12 of your programmes, you can fill the results for this in there. The winner was number 32, Jason Davis. Second was number 87, David Mathias. Third, number 23, Craig Rayner. Fourth was 57, Simon Beament. Fifth, number 6, Andy Robinson. Sixth, number 11, Mike Webb. Seventh was 571, Tony Paxman. Eighth, number 30, Terence Clark. Ninth, number 34, Matt Edwards. And 10th, number 27, that was Alex von Erheim. So 32, 87, 23, 57, 6, 11, 5, 7, 1, 30, 34 and 27. Winner's time for 11 laps was 10 minutes 13.181 seconds, 10 minutes 13.181 seconds, an average speed of 87.18 miles per hour, 87.18 miles per hour. And the fastest lap of the race that went to the winner, number 32, Jason Davis, a time of 54.177 seconds, 54.177, 89.70 miles per hour, 89.70 miles an hour was the fastest lap of the race for Jason Davis. So that's the Blue Oval Saloons over and done with for the weekend, but we turn our attention now back to the SVG Motorsport Pre-93 Touring Car Championship. So back we go to page number 14 of your programmes. We didn't get much of a chance for a build-up to this race earlier on, because it was straight into it just as soon as the PA system was switched on at around about 11 o'clock this morning. I can tell you then that this will be round 7 of the championship. It will be the halfway point of what is a 13-race season for the Pre-93 touring cars. Coming into this weekend, the championship was being led by Paul Bellamy in Class B in his BMW M3. Well, earlier on today, he had a 4th place finish, so he'll have dropped a few points there, and that will have given the chance to Neil Bray to take the championship lead, I think, because Neil Bray only 1 point behind him in the standings coming into this weekend on 42 points, but Neil took the Class win. He won Class E, whereas Paul Bellamy 4th in Class B, so I think we'll see Neil Bray now into the lead of Class E and overall of the SVG Motorsport Pre-93 Touring Car Championship. Third equal in the points coming into this weekend, well, Roger Stanford, who, if you haven't already heard, unfortunately recovering in hospital, having suffered a heart attack yesterday. Best wishes to Roger, of course. And also Roger Card tied 3rd on points as well, on 36 points, but he's not here this weekend either. Looking to 5th in the championship, that was Nick Haldane. He finished 2nd in Class D earlier on today, with Leonard Oliver taking the class win, but Nick Haldane it was that extended his lead within Class D, getting the better of Mike Sheraton, who had a good scrap with Nick over 10th and 11th, and Al Wayman's Chevrolet Camaro Z28 was involved in that as well. Looking further back into the points then, 6th was Jim McLaughlin, and of course it was Jim McLaughlin that took the outright race win earlier on. He's had a race win and 2 2nd place finishes within the class last time out at Pembrey, losing out to Paul Bellamy. And Bellamy it was that took the overall race wins in both races at Pembrey last time out. The circuit obviously very well suited to Paul's BMW M3, but Jim took 2 seconds within his class. And of course he's had a race win and a Class B win earlier on today. Cars getting up onto their 2nd green flag warming up lap. Of course this is a necessity when the conditions have changed to what the drivers have already taken to the track during the course of the day. And it was indeed a cloudy but dry race earlier on today for the SVG Motorsport Pre-93 Touring Car Championship. So the race wins so far this year have been split in 3 different directions. Craig Jameson was the winner at Alton Park, Paul Bellamy the first of the race at Rockingham, then both of them at Pembrey, and Jim McLaughlin won the 2nd race at Rockingham, and now of course he's won the 1st race here at Mallory Park as well. Dave Hickton in the earlier race had a very good run to 3rd position, getting the better of Richard Miller on the very last lap of the race as they had to lap, I think it was Al Wayman's Chevrolet Camaro. So Dave Hickton, someone who lies in 4th position in Class B in the championship. He didn't take part in the races at Pembrey last time out, but Dave Hickton, who now has this dark blue BMW M3, we used to see him in that yellow Opel Ascona that he's won a race in at Mallory Park in the past. It's now with a new owner, that car, but hasn't been seen out on track for quite some time. So Dave Hickton's going to line up on the inside of the 2nd row of the grid in car number 46, just ahead of Richard Miller in the Gulf liveried Ford Sierra. Paul Bellamy, let's see what he can do in these conditions. He's going to line up on the inside of row 3, and next to him is Malcolm Wise in the Ford Sierra Sapphire. Watch out as well for Mark Fowler's yellow BMW. That's going to be on the inside of row number 4 of the grid. He started the first race a little bit further up the order, didn't he? Yes, he started third on the grid for the earlier race, but had a problem relatively early on. So let's see what Mark Fowler can do. The man from Bury St Edmunds, the sales director for Impressions, raced the Esso Capri for 8 years. This is his second season in the Mark III. He's sponsored by Baker Bodycraft. He's been racing now for about 10 seasons. Without much damage, he says, until 5 weeks ago. He had a big off at Pembrey in this BMW. The chassis got bent, so he's been rushing to get it out for Mallory Park, and the setup, he says, seems to be better than ever before. Well, let's see how it handles in the wet. Dave Hickton we mentioned as well. He's starting third on the grid, 33-year-old garage owner from Andover, so local to Thruxton, racing stock cats between 99 and 2003 in an XR2 and a Peugeot 205 in road saloons in 2003-04. And since then he's been out with the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. This car that he's in, by the way, it's for sale, so if you'd like to go racing in the pre-93 touring cars, here's an ideal opportunity. You can go and buy the blue M3 BMW with the green wheels that's third on the grid. That's not going to be a bad investment, is it? So the final few cars are about to come into position then, ahead of this 15th race of the weekend. It's for the SVG Motorsport Pre-93 Touring Car Championship. Right at the back of the grid we've got the Chevrolet Camaro Z28. We've also got the BMW of 29 Robin Oliver at a very jaunty angle. She's going to end up in the gravel trap if she starts off in that angle. But the 5-second board has gone up, the red lights are on, they go out now then, and the race gets underway. Robin Oliver does get that car straightened up, which is good to see, but it's a great start by Jim McLaughlin from pole position. Then it looks like he is going to have the lead going down towards Gerrard's Bend for the first time. And I think it's David Hickton in the blue M3 that's got up into second position, with Jack Stanford there in third, Richard Miller in fourth, but a good lead already, Matt Suppling, as they go around Gerrard's for Jim McLaughlin.
Yeah, Jack Stanford is the one who's lost the place early on. He's lost 2 now because Richard Miller in his Sierra has gone through as well. So our race leader Jim McLaughlin by a big margin already. Here comes the second Sierra down the inside of the S's on Dave Hickton. So he goes through now. Behind that, Paul Bellamy also makes a move, and possibly another place lost for Jack Stanford. They run side by side through the S's for the first time. Who's going to come out ahead? I think it's going to be Jack Stanford just about, but then Dave Hickton should have the inside line down towards the hairpin. So down 3 places is Jack Stanford. Richard Miller second, third place Dave Hickton, fourth place Paul Bellamy.
Yes, and Neil Bray, watch out for Neil Bray. We saw him go very well in the wet earlier on in the what was it? It was the classic. It was the pre-83 race, wasn't it, that we saw him in? Just trying to work out where we saw him. Well, he's made up some ground already in this one as well. Where did he start? He started 8th. I think he's up now to 5th position, isn't he, as he goes through it. He's past Jack Stanford now, so these are the conditions that play into the hands of the more nimble cars like the Ford Fiesta. So let's see what Neil Bray can do in the pre-93 race. Can he do what he did in the pre-83s? He's all over the back of Paul Bellamy now. He's going to go through on the inside at Gerrard's Bend. He's through to 4th place now.
I don't think that car of Jack Stanford's on song, because it's really dropping back now. It didn't sound too healthy coming across the line as well. So Jack Stanford could be an early retirement in this second pre-93 touring car race. Meantime, as you said, Neil Bray on the attack already now into 3rd place. He's past Dave Hickton as well on this lap. Through the S's they go for the second time. Can he make it 2nd place? He's going to try it, because Richard Miller gets stepped out a little bit sideways there as he hits a puddle coming through the S's. Also behind that as well, a move being made for the car of number 79 by the looks of it, making progress through the order, and that is the car of Sheridan.
Yes, Simon Sheridan it is, that's gone up into 7th position at the end of the lap, but he's tracking Neil Bray through the field. So it's Jim McLaughlin that's checked out really. He's miles in front at the end of lap 2, but about to go up into 2nd position is, well, we've lost David Hickton. He's dropped back a few places, hasn't he? It is now Neil Bray that's going to challenge Richard Miller for 2nd position as they go into Gerrard's Bend. He's done it, and following him through is Simon Sheridan. So it's Fiesta's 2nd and 3rd ahead of the Sierra of Richard Miller as Jack Stanford comes into the pits. As Matt said a few moments ago, we thought there might be some problems with that car. So he had issues with the tyres in the earlier race, but Jack Stanford seems to be out of the race. It's Jim McLaughlin, though, that leads by about 7 seconds.
And Richard Miller now down to 4th place. He's having to do 2 things in this race. Firstly, drive the car. Secondly, wipe the windscreen because it's getting a bit what's the word? A bit misty. Yeah, that's the one. A bit misted up in that car. So he's wiping the screen. You can see it there on the TV cameras. He's using his rag to wipe it. That's why he's losing a couple more places. Behind that, though, Dave Hickton is now having to defend by a few cars from the man behind Paul Bellamy in the similar liveried car. So those two are going at it as well. Meantime, Neil Bray on a charge. Now, can he catch the man up front, Jim McLaughlin? We'll see what lap times are compared to each other. Well, he's on time. He's got 7.3 seconds to make, but it is possible, Ian. It is possible.
It is. Lap time's pretty similar. Bray that time marginally the faster. Have we lost Sheridan? Sounds like the kind of thing Hyacinth Bouquet would say, wouldn't it? But it's Jim McLaughlin leading, Neil Bray second. Sheridan we don't think did come through. So it's Miller back up to 3rd, Dave Hickton 4th, Paul Bellamy is 5th, and Sheridan came through eventually in 6th position.
Yeah, just spotted him going through Gerrard's. He's trying to put that back in the right direction. He's trying to look for 5th place now on Paul Bellamy. So these 4 cars in fact, because Richard Miller at the head of it is now starting to concertina the cars back up together as they head through once again the S's and in towards Shaw's hairpin. We'll keep an eye on Neil Bray as well because he's starting to bring this gap down. It looks like it may well be possible as there very briefly Paul Bellamy looked towards the inside line on Dave Hickton in towards the hairpin, but not enough power to get himself alongside and past that car. So here goes Neil Bray now across the line. Again, he brings the gap down. Again, it's not by much, but it is coming that way. 7 seconds between 1st and 2nd.
It is so. McLaughlin, Bray, Miller, Hickton, Bellamy, Sheridan is the order. Then it's Fowler in the 5th position, in 7th position, car number 5, I should say. 8th is number 14, Malcolm Wise. And then I think we have leading Class D, yes we do, the BMW of Mike Sheraton. Number 56, he comes across the line in 9th position overall, so he's leading Class D this time after finishing 3rd in class earlier on, and completing the top 10 is the number 35 Rover Tomcat of Derek Bowley. Meanwhile, a good dice going on as they go down the Stubby Straight in towards Lake Esses. It's between the 2 BMWs of Paul Bellamy and David Hickton, and Paul Bellamy has gone through to take 4th position away.
And Simon Sheridan has passed both of them. He's gone from 6th to 4th in the space of this lap so far. He's now going to be on the tail of Richard Miller down towards the hairpin once again. Paul Bellamy trying to get that place back as well, but he's not going to be there as of yet, so they'll turn their way on towards another lap. Here comes 1st and 2nd through, Jim McLaughlin and Neil Bray. And again, that's a much bigger gap taken out. 5.2 seconds it now is. 1.8 taken out that lap alone. There's just under 10 minutes to go. And he is definitely on it now, Neil Bray. As once again, 3rd place goes through. Still Richard Miller. We have got green flags.
Straight on, sorry. Derek Bowley in the Rover Tomcat from 10th position at Shaw's corner. He has resumed, and I don't think he's lost a place in actual fact, because he's got a big gap with the car a long way behind him in 11th place of Nick Haldane, I should say, the Class D Championship leader.
Simon Sheridan is now into 3rd place as well, because down through Gerrard's he's found a way past Richard Miller. So the Sierra is now back 1 into 4th. Paul Bellamy there in 5th place, still 6th place for Dave Hickton for the time being. 7th place is the number 5 car, and quite a way back now at the minute, Mark Fowler, but he's being closed in on by Malcolm Wise, the number 14 car, the older looking Sierra, just turning its way now through the S's. Those two bring themselves together on this lap. Here comes 1st and 2nd again across the line. Is that a gap that comes down again? It certainly is. 4.5 seconds that time round. Still a good margin taken out. With time still left in this race, Neil Bray is on the pace.
Yeah, 4.5 seconds now adrift. Fastest lap of the race is still with Jim McLaughlin though, 103.3 compared to 103.5 for Neil Bray. So possibly, if he needs it, Jim McLaughlin's got something in hand. As we look now at this battle for 4th place, because Richard Miller is about to lose that to Paul Bellamy, I think, as they go into Gerrard's Bend that time. They're just lapping the Amanda Ewing's BMW 325, the multicoloured car, having to drive around the outside of Amanda though, and it is Bellamy that is down to... He's still there in 5th position and losing time in actual fact to Richard Miller there as he was delayed by that back marker. Meanwhile, Simon Sheridan and the Fiesta has started to pull away from those two now, and he's turning his way through the S's. Meanwhile, up at Shaw's corner, that is Neil Bray that's turning his way through there, but here comes Jim McLaughlin to end lap number 7. Exactly half distance in this race, 7.5 minutes to go. Let's have a look at the gap. Jim McLaughlin's just in the best lap of the race, a 102.3. Can Neil Bray respond? Well, he's done his personal best lap, but the gap has gone out now to 5.2 seconds as we watch this battle between, well, it's not a battle, David Hickton has lapped the Amanda Ewing car, so it's David Hickton there in 6th place then, securely in 6th place now, with Mark Fowler in 7th as we go into the last 7 minutes of this race.
Yep, and then still up the road from those guys is this fight over 4th place at the minute with Richard Miller and Paul Bellamy. Once again, this part of the track is where Paul Bellamy seems a lot quicker. Of course, last time through he was slightly held up by the back marker of Amanda Ewings. He had to switch sides at the last minute to try and make a way through. Again, the back end stepping out with these very tricky conditions that the drivers are having to put up with at the minute. So down step straight they go once again. Richard Miller just pulls out briefly on that of Paul Bellamy. Then on the brakes, look at Paul Bellamy, charges up the inside, and that is a fantastic move to pull off for the BMW. So it dives through. Has he managed to hold the corner on the line? He certainly has, and that is how easy you can do it. I think after the race though, he won't be thinking that because it is a brave old move to do there, but Richard Miller just didn't see it coming.
Okay, leaders have gone through, the gap has increased as Richard Miller goes wide. Bang! Into the barriers he goes. Well, maybe bang's an exaggeration, maybe it's a light biff really. Now he's got the wheels spinning. That was all up at Shaw's Corner, but Richard Miller, having lost 4th position, has run off the circuit at Shaw's Corner, and I think he's going to lose a few places. McLaughlin now leads by 6 seconds from Bray. Sheridan is another 15 seconds back in 3rd. Bellamy is 4th. David Hickton is in 5th. And then who's going to be in 6th place? Now, it's still going to be Richard Miller in actual fact. Miller's still 6th then because Mark Fowler was a long way adrift in 7th. 8th is still Malcolm Wise. And so in 9th place up at Shaw's Corner now I can see is the Class D leader, and that's the laser entered car of Mike Sheraton.
Yep, race leader just putting a lap on the Rover Tomcat of Derek Bowley, so he makes his way past there. Meantime, Neil Bray is also not still far behind as they turn their way through Devil's Elbow. Let's see if this gap again is going to come down between the top two. In fact, this time round it may have extended. It's up to around about 6 seconds previous time round. 9 laps completed, just over 5 minutes to go for the field at the minute. And again, it is a gap that comes down, but it is over the 6 second mark now for Neil Bray to try and claw that back in. So I think it is time running out for the second place man. Simon Sheridan though, great run in 3rd place, but is he now being caught by the man in 4th, Paul Bellamy? I think he is.
Well, the only driver that set a fast time on the previous lap was Paul Bellamy, and he's doing the same again. One of the only drivers on our screen to have improved his lap time. He's done a 103.592. He's taken 1.4 seconds out of Simon Sheridan. The gap is down to just under 2 seconds now between the 3rd place car of Sheridan, the blue BM third place car of Sheridan, the yellow Fiesta, I beg your pardon, the blue BMW of Bellamy in 4th place, as our leader Jim McLaughlin round Shaw's Corner for the 10th time with 4.5 minutes of this race remaining. The gap he has in hand now over Neil Bray has increased to 7 seconds, but nevertheless it's been a good effort this from Neil Bray to get up into 2nd place, because he started way back on 8th on the grid. The conditions here really playing into his hands though. Here is Bray now coming across the start finish line as Bellamy almost has a bit of a moment up at Shaw's Corner there. Let's see if that has compromised his pursuit of Simon Sheridan, who's now tucked in behind the BMW of Graham Ewings, who is about to lap as he comes over the line to complete lap number 10. And the gap between Sheridan and Bellamy has still come down. It's 1.5 seconds now as they battle for 3rd place.
Yeah, so in towards Gerrard's those two cars go. This time it's Paul Bellamy who's held up in the traffic by Graham Ewing, so he can't find a way through there. That in turn means Simon Sheridan should pull away on towards Steb Straight with more back markers to deal with very shortly, one of those being Al Wayman in his mighty Chevrolet Camaro heading down the back straight now. Also this the fight going on for 7th place at the minute. Mark Fowler can't seem to shake off Malcolm Wise. Those two have gone through separated by 1.4 seconds with identical lap times pretty much for the two of those. So that's for 7th and 8th places. Still, as we know, keeping an eye up the road on the final podium position between Simon Sheridan and Paul Bellamy. Just turning now in towards Shaw's hairpin. Slightly wider line there for the man in 3rd, Simon Sheridan, but he gets it through the corner and he doesn't lose that much time to Paul Bellamy either.
Okay, we've got just under 3 minutes of this race remaining now. The gap between the first two is up to 11.3 seconds. Further back down the order, in 13th place, we've got Amanda Ewings, the 42-year-old from Cambridge. She's a teacher. Initially started off co-driving an Opel Manta in rally events. Then she started the Toyo Tyres racing saloons initially, before moving into the pre-93 touring cars and classic colours. She's a proud member of the British Women Racing Drivers Club, and she's out there in the latest BMW art colours supplied by Stylize. That's the multicoloured thing you can see, car number 64, as Jim McLaughlin continues to lead this race. He's heading down towards Devil's Elbow to complete lap number 12. I think he's just about going to squeeze probably 3 more laps out of this. There's 2 minutes and 10 seconds as he goes across the line now to start lap number 13.
Yeah, I'm just wondering as well, with Neil Bray, thinking back to what you said about Rockingham with the car not pushing it too much, because with these tricky conditions, you push a bit too hard, you run the risk of damaging the car. So he's probably thought second he's happy with, he'll continue his way round, he'll pick up some more good points, and that could be what he's doing. Also, class win is what he's got to think about. That's what he's got at the minute, ahead of Simon Sheridan.
Absolutely, points scored within the classes rather than based on overall finishing position. So in a sense, there's no incentive for Neil to improve his overall finishing position, as I think Amanda Ewings, who we were just talking about, has hip problems, and unfortunately she's very slow as she comes over the grid this time to go on to her next lap. But yes, Neil Bray, if he stays in second position, he'll take the class win from Simon Sheridan, who's in second place, and will be able to really play quite a key part in the championship for the remainder of the season, I think, because I reckon that this will put Neil Bray into the championship lead, because Paul Bellamy didn't have such a good result earlier on. It was fourth in class. Looks like Paul Bellamy is going to be second place in class within this race.
And for Neil Bray, this should be his first overall podium in the pre-93 touring cars as well for this year. So it's all positives taken away from Mallory Park. Simon Sheridan locks the brakes going into Shaw's hairpin. It's not what you want to be doing with just a minute to go in this race, because once again, Paul Bellamy is there or thereabouts, and he can pounce at any single given opportunity. So down through Devil's Elbow, those two cars go, and still fighting over third place, just making their way past the Rover Tomcat now in the hands of Derek Bowley. Simon Sheridan goes towards the inside line. Paul Bellamy will try and follow as well. That car didn't sound that quick going through there.
No. There goes Sheridan then in third place, just lapping that Rover Tomcat, cars that had their own standalone championship. Meanwhile, up towards Shaw's corner for maybe the final time, maybe the penultimate time, goes Jim McLaughlin. I don't know if the last lap board went out or not. We can't actually see from our commentary position, but it would have been quite touch and go. Jim McLaughlin is going to come through here just behind the number 37 car, which is Graham Ewings in another of the BMWs. Over the line they come, and yeah, it looks like a last lap board that has gone out then to Jim McLaughlin. Yes, it is. So Jim McLaughlin now goes on to his final lap of the race. Neil Bray, where is he? Here he is, through the elbow now, and he is going to go on to his final lap, but he is now nearly 15 seconds adrift off the race leader.
Yep, so here he goes then for the final time down the back straight. Jim McLaughlin in that very well turned down Sierra Cosworth. He makes his way now looking for a second victory of the day, it seems. So he'll make his way towards the checkered flag very shortly. And yeah, I think Paul Bellamy has dropped off the pace, because he wasn't that far behind Simon Sheridan. He comes up to the line now, and he goes through to start his last lap with a lap time 1:14 compared to a 1:05.
Yeah, indeed. So we are well and truly into the final lap of the race. Dave Hickton then, still in fifth place. He goes over the line in car number 46. And Richard Miller, car 7, he goes over the line to start his final lap in 6th position, the Gulf Liveried car. But through the Devil's Elbow for the 15th and final time comes our race leader, Jim McLaughlin. Is not going to quite lap the number 93 car, but he takes the win. So the second win of the day for Jim McLaughlin in very different conditions, in a very different style really. It was dominant, this one, from lights to flag. There was a question mark over whether Neil Bray would be able to catch him in the early part of the race, but Jim eventually saw off that potential challenge from the little Fiesta, and Neil Bray has come through in second place. Third place goes the way of Simon Sheridan then in the number 79 car. He goes over the line now to take third position, and we had that slow lap for Paul Bellamy on the previous lap. Let's see if he's still going to come through in fourth. Meanwhile, Amanda Ewings has made it, I think, about a quarter rack power to the checkered flag in the end in her number 64. Maybe that car stuck in gear or something like that, but Paul Bellamy comes through in fourth place. Dave Hickton in the 46 car is fifth, with Richard Miller closing in on him in sixth position on the final lap of the race. But another win then for Jim McLaughlin, so that's good news as far as his championship hopes are concerned. It's his third win of the season, but I think we'll find that it's Neil Bray that leaves Mallory Park today with the lead of the SVG Motorsport pre-93 touring car, pre-93 saloon car championship, I could say. For those of you watching on the live stream, you can see the results on screen now. The win going the way of number 6, Jim McLaughlin. Second was number 76, Neil Bray, 15 seconds behind in the end. Simon Sheridan was third in car 79, so 2 Fiestas, second and third. The first of the BMWs of Paul Bellamy was fourth, second in class for him. Important points as far as the championship are concerned. Third in class, Dave Hickton in car number 46. Fifth overall, and Richard Miller completing the top 6. Mark Fowler, Malcolm Wise and Derek Bowley were 7th, 8th and 9th. Class D being won by Mike Sheraton in his laser-entered number 56 BMW 325. But it was Jim McLaughlin then that took the win by 15 seconds from Neil Bray. So move on now to give you the results. The results of race number 14, which is the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Racing Series. So if you'd like to write these into your programmes, you can do that on, he said finding the page, I think it's page 24 of the programme. Yes, it is, so page 24 of the programme, the results for the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Series. The win went to number 76, which was Tom Shepherd. Second was number 3, Richard Drake. Third, number 92, Ron Davidson. Fourth, number 27, Ted Pearson. Fifth, number 63, Greg Pye. And sixth, number 29, Richard Merrill. So 76, 3, 92, 27, 63 and 29. Winners time for 13 laps, 15 minutes, 11.426 seconds. 15, 11.426 seconds. An average speed of 69.31 miles per hour, 69.31 miles per hour. The fastest lap of the race, that went to Ted Pearson in the early stages of that race. Car number 27. He set a time of 1 minute 6.166 seconds. 1 minute 6.166 seconds, an average speed of 73.45 miles per hour, 73.45 miles per hour.
I'll just try and save everything.
And down in the interview room is Matt Suckley.
Thanks very much, Ian. So we've got our 3 drivers once again from that race, and a very entertaining race it has been from the Pre-93 saloons this weekend. Jim, first we'll have a quick word with you, make your way over here. That was another great race, and it was one that saw Neil Bray for half of it, putting pressure towards you. Could you see him in your mirrors?
Oh yes, I could see him coming. I thought I had the race pegged. I mean, we've got lovely wet setup and everything like that. And I thought, so long as Richard in the Gulf Cosworth does, and he's a similar setup, so long as he's away from me, I thought the only person I could think looming in my mirrors would be Neil, because he's done it before and beat me. So, and I managed, excuse me, just to pick up the pace a little bit, just to sort of gap him, but that's all I could do. You know, I couldn't run away from him. So fair play to Neil. It's unbelievable. To both these lads in the Fiestas, you know, they've done brilliant, absolutely brilliant, haven't they?
It was a fantastic race to watch. It's your first double of the year, your 3rd victory overall. It's not a bad 2013.
Yeah, it's turning out all right now, thank goodness. Yeah, tells you, yeah. So onwards and upwards, hopefully.
Are we going to see you at Snet?
Yes, we'll be at Snetterton, yes, absolutely.
Brilliant stuff. Well done, Jim, on the victories today. A 2nd place, Neil Bray. We've already had a word with you, but this is another. And the Fiestas before.
For Super, I like to give the crowd a bit of a spin and that sort of thing. Jim drove absolutely fantastic. To get that vehicle round, rear-wheel drive, all that power, he was like he was on rails. And I was catching him, then he picked the pace up again, and I thought, I've got 4 races today, I've got to save it, I must sort of look after it. But I was pushing on, I couldn't go any quicker. He's a worthy winner of that one, that was brilliant.
Conditions and trying to save the car, because you did, of course, get the class win as well.
I got the class win, which is all important. It is so slippery out there. People don't realise how slippery it is. People are tucking in on Gerrards. You've got to go around the outside. You've got to say, this is it. And you just hope that they don't come out towards you and you get by them. But no, everybody was very clean out there. Super race.
Great stuff. We'll see you out later on again for some more racing. Well done, Neil, on that one. And a word with our 3rd place man, Simon. Pop over here. Simon, once again, with these conditions, it plays right into your hand.
Suited to the raid. We haven't got the power of the big boys in a straight line. Very heavy cars, front wheel drive as well, so it was a bit more forgiving. Unfortunately, the only person I needed to beat was Neil. So after I'd thrown it off at the hairpin on lap 2, I think, he had a big gap. I could see him, but I wasn't gaining, so I think they drove away. But Neil drove brilliantly, and so did Jim. Jim's, they're all legends.
Because there was many people to get through, but this
Paul Bellamy, Dave Hickton, they just couldn't get the power down at all. Coming out of Gerrard's, the car was sideways while I was still going up the box, so that helped a lot. But It does suit the rain. I've got a really good setup for the rain, but I just wish I was a bit closer to these boys over there. But maybe next time.
To Simon Sheridan there, guys. You can now head out into the rain, which is got more racing on the way. We've got a second MR2 race on track next. Once again, very tricky conditions to play with, and I'll hand back upstairs to you, Ian.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Matt. So good to hear from Simon Sheridan, Neil Bray and Jim McLaughlin after that pre-93, I beg your pardon, saloon car race. All credit to all of the drivers for putting on such a great demonstration in these very difficult conditions, and as I think it was Neil Bray pointed out, great work in particular from Jim McLaughlin to get a rear-wheel drive car with lots of power around the circuit in those conditions. Really not ideal conditions for that kind of car, but Jim did a tremendous job. Cars coming out then for race number 16 on the programmes. The entry list is on page 16 as well. The one change to the programme, car 26 Craig Rankine becomes car 22. Otherwise the entry list is as per the programme, and the grid is going to line up as follows. On the front row, 43 and 46. 43 Paul Corbridge and 46 is John Winter. Second row, 22 and 7. 22 Craig Rankine and 7 Nathan Harrison. The third row, 27 and 5, 27 Ian Davis and 5 David Hemingway. The fourth row, 87 and 13, 87 Neil Homan and 13 Roderick Pullen. The fifth row, 64 and 16, 64 being Steve Hennessy and 16 Daniel Farmer. The sixth row, 58 and 6, 58 Simon Miles and 6 Richard Avery. The seventh row, 28 and 85, 28 Paul Lorry and 85 Philip O'Halloran. The 8th row, 38 and 93, 38 David Mustard and 93 Gary Lawrence. The 9th row, 63 and 41, 63 Dino Iandico and 41 Kevin Molyneux. The 10th row, 73 and 25, 73 Russell Sharp and 25 David Johnson. The 11th row, 48 and 44, 48 Andy Melton and 44 Jonathan Bonsall. The 12th row, 88 and 4, 88 Rob Brown and 4 Peter Heighton. The 13th row, 40 and 80, 40 David Robinson and 80 Stephen Wolfs. The 14th row, 66 and 8, 66 Adam Shale and 88 and 8, I beg your pardon, number 8 not 88, that's Eddie O'Kane. And on the back is going to be number 69 Aaron Pullen, who was excluded in the end from the results of the first race. He was actually a non-finisher, but he was excluded presumably for something that happened in the first part of the race before the red flag. Well, the start line marshals rushing out onto the grid now as these cars are on their second green flag lap. Again, the conditions have changed since the first race, so the drivers just taking the opportunity to get acclimatised to these conditions. Well, we've had 8 races before this weekend in the YourIrishShop.com MR2 Racing Series and the PC Buy It Hyundai Coupe Cup, and up until today, the wins had been split equally between Paul Corbridge and Aaron Pullen. But Paul Corbridge won early on. Aaron Pullen failed to finish and has then been excluded, so they're going to start this race from literally opposite ends of the grid. Paul Corbridge has had 5 wins now, Aaron Pullen 4. And you'd back Paul Corbridge, I think, to extend his win total for the season. The Prize Motorsport entered Toyota MR2 that lines up on pole position, but different conditions this time. Will that play into the hands possibly of the Hyundai Coupes? And there's one of those on the front row of the grid. I think we had the best ever finishing position for one of them in these combined MR2 Racing Series and Hyundai Coupe races earlier on, and now we have one of them therefore starting second on the grid. It's John Winter, car 46, that we will be looking out for in his number 46 car for the driver from Milton Keynes. It's the Exit 13 entered car, liveried with the PC Buy It graphics as well. Driver to watch out for on the outside of the second row of the grid though is number 7, that's Nathan Harrison, 35-year-old from Derby. He's the team manager at 22 GT Racing. It's his 3rd season racing the MR2, but it's his first full season. Normally work commitments clash with his own racing. He had 2 wins though during 2012. It's a car from 1986, 1600cc engine, and the car was built up from a shell in 2010. Also out there, we've got number 13, Roger Pullen, on the outside of row 4. That's the father of Aaron. He's 55 years of age, from Bedfordshire. He's a consultant proctologist. He's been racing with the MR2 series now for the last 7 years. His highest place was at Mallory. At Mallory Park was 4th place. And for friends and former patients who have come to watch, he says he'd like to give them a thumbs up. His is an MR2 from 1987. The car has had just one odour. The race car has had several wins, but unfortunately not with Roger driving, but son Aaron at the wheel. Also out there, a good drive in the early race for number 16, Daniel Farmer, the youngest driver in the field, the 21-year-old motor mechanic from Crawley Down. The car was previously raced in this series by Mark Engelbrecht. Well, that's all we've got time for there, because the red lights are about to go on. They are now, and the race gets underway. And it's a poor start from that heavier Hyundai Coupe of John Winter. He gets swallowed up by the rest of the field. So it's the lead being held by the car of pole position man Paul Corbridge then, as they turn their way through Gerrard's Bend for the first time. From the outside of row 2, it looks as if Nathan Harrison has made it into 2nd place, and Craig Rankine is in 3rd position as they turn their way off Gerrard's Bend. Who's that making an attack? That could well be the is that the David Hemingway car? I think it could be car number 5 that is now up into 2nd position. Great drive there for number 5. He's gone around the outside there, and he's now challenging Paul Corbridge for the lead place. In fact, it's not number 5, it's number 13. So from 8th on the grid, Roger Pullen is about to take the lead of the race, and he's going to do so. Or is he? No, he just has to tuck back in behind Paul Corbridge as they turn their way out of Shaw's Corner. So it's Corbridge leading, then it's Roger Pullen in 2nd place, then in 3rd place it's Craig Rankine, in 4th is Nathan Harrison, but they're side by side as they come over the line, and Roger Pullen has got it done. Roger Pullen goes through to take the lead. Into Gerrard's Bend for the 2nd time then, and Craig Rankine going to try to go around the outside of Paul Corbridge for 2nd place as well. They are absolutely alongside, but it's just the orange car now that's got his nose in front. They've all got their pop-up headlamps displayed, and it looks like it is Craig Rankine that has gone through now into 2nd place. Yes, he has. So it's Roger Pullen leading, Rankine 2nd, 3rd is Paul Corbridge, 4th is Nathan Harrison, 5th I think is possibly David Hemingway. Time on screen is not quite yet up to date, so we'll have to work from what we can see in front of us, and of course Dave Vass on the lap chart as well. So as they go up towards Shaw's Corner then for the 2nd time, it's the 13 car leading off Roger Pullen. A deeper line into the corner being taken by the pole position man Paul Corbridge. It looked like David Hemingway was trying to get 4th place away from the car that had been running in 4th place, which was Nathan Harrison. Coming back towards us then to complete lap number 2, it's Roger Pullen that continues to lead. Rankine is 2nd, Corbridge 3rd, now it's Hemingway 4th, 5th is Harrison, then a gap back to the 6th place car, which is Gary Lawrence. The first of the Hyundais in 7th place is John Winter.
Yep, so another MR2 race looking forward to here, with once again the rain coming down. Whoever's gone for the trouser options today, I think they've done very well, because shorts would have been the wrong choice. Meantime though, still up front is that man number 13 who has gone through. Roger Pullen doing well, of course. Is he going to be outed by the man in 2nd place, Craig Rankine, who got a podium in race number 1? Well, at the minute he's trying to bring that gap down. It's the fight for 3rd place that's going on at the minute. It's really one to keep an eye on, because David Hemingway is there, race 1 winner Paul Corbridge next up, then Nathan Harrison in 5th place, and Gary Lawrence is there or thereabouts as well. Those 6 cars now pulling away from the Hyundai Coupe leader, which is John Winter, and for the 2nd time heading up towards the hairpin.
Yeah, we shouldn't take too much notice of what's on the screen. Now they've sorted it out, so it is Roger Pullen leading from Craig Rankine. Yes, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, he's up at Shaw's hairpin then, as I say. And 64 we can see going through a shot. That was the car of Steve Hennessy, who I think was a retirement from the earlier race. But over the line comes number 13, Roger Pullen, then in the lead of the race. The gap has stayed pretty much constant, it's about 8/10 of a second. Then it's another 8/10 of a second back to Hemingway in 3rd place, then Corbridge in 4th, Harrison in 5th, and Lawrence is in 6th position. 7th you can see is the 58 car, or the 46 car, beg your pardon, of Winter, John Winter, in the first of the Hyundais, but we've not really noticed Aaron Pullen from the back of the grid. He's up to 9th, and he's just set the fastest lap of the race. So watch out for car number 69, Aaron Pullen, excluded from race 1, started at the back of the grid. He's up to 9th, and he's got the fastest lap.
Yep, so we'll keep an eye on Aaron Pullen. Also keep an eye...
the spin, I should say. Sorry, Matt, that's John Winter that's spun around at the S's in the Hyundai.
Yeah, it's not good news for him. He's had many wins this year in that class. He now gets re-going. He's going to lose probably second and third as well, so he's going to be down there in third. Sideways for Nathan Harrison. He just about corrects it on the exit of the hairpin as he turns his way through. But yeah, this scrap for third place is fantastic at the minute. David Hemingway is there. They're now closing on the top 2 as well, and taking with him is Paul Corbridge. So these 6 cars come through, still all pretty much as one, and then they get back to the 7th place car, which is that of not now John Winter, but Neil Hurren.
And here comes Aaron Pullen. Is challenging Neil Hurren for 7th place now as they go over the line and towards Gerrard's Bend. And Aaron Pullen has a look on the inside of Neil Hurren, but he's not quite yet made that place through. He'll be keen to get past Neil Hurren as fast as he possibly can, because he then needs to try and bridge that gap to the top 6 cars that are much further up the road. There's a gap of about... and Gary Lawrence has gone off at Gerrard's Bend, so that's one less car that he needs to worry about. There's a gap of about 5 seconds between what was Gary Lawrence and Neil Hurren, so there's about 5 seconds that Aaron Pullen will need to try and make up. He has now got ahead of Neil Hurren now, so he's up into what will be 6th place following the demise of Gary Lawrence.
And up into not just 3rd but 2nd place now has gone Paul Corbridge, so a great run on that lap to get past both Craig Rankine and also as well he's managed to get past Dave Hemingway, so it's all changed up towards the front. So your race leader, still no change there, Roger Pullen. 2nd place now is Paul Corbridge, 3rd place for Craig Rankine, 4th place is Nathan Harrison, and now back to the train at the back is that of Dave Hemingway. We know we've lost Gary Lawrence, the old blue car down at Gerrard's, and then here comes Aaron Pullen, still on the move. He goes through and he's ahead of Neil Hurren and does another personal best lap of the race.
But the fastest lap of the race has gone to Paul Corbridge in 2nd position. He's 9/10 behind the leader, which is Aaron's father, Roger Pullen, the consultant proctologist from Bedfordshire. But I think that gap has come down a little bit during the course of the first third of this lap. There's only about 4 car lengths between the 2 leaders. It's side by side for 3rd place as well now as the cars go along Stubby Straight and into the Lake Essex. It's Nathan Harrison on the inside line, and he's gone through ahead of Craig Rankine now to take 3rd place away. So Nathan Harrison goes up to 3rd place, Craig Rankine goes down to 4th. It's still David Hemingway in 5th position. And then a gap back to Aaron Pullen, who we can just see in the back of shot there in 6th place. But up to Shaw's Corner goes that battle for 3rd place. The leader still, though, is the 13 car of Roger Pullen from number 43, Paul Corbridge.
Yep, and while that's all been going on, Paul Corbridge has got his fishing rod out. He's starting to reel in this wet weather. The man who leads this one, Roger Pullen. So across the line they go, separated last time by 9/10 of a second, this time by half a second exactly. And Paul Corbridge does the fastest lap of the race, 105.513. So he's there in 2nd. Is that going to be the lead before long? We know he had a very big margin in race number 1 that he won by. Of course, we had a red flag as well, so hopefully not the same in this one, but he's going to try and turn his attention now to the back of Roger Pullen. On towards Steb Straight these 2 cars go, and a great run from Paul Corbridge there in 2nd place. Can he get close to Roger? He looks towards the inside line. He's going to be late surely on the S's as they head their way down towards that part of the section now, and he doesn't quite do it. He swaps back to the outside line again. Roger Pullen going very defensive. He now tries to tuck the nose up the inside as they head their way through a spinner down at Gerrard's. Meantime, side by side for the race lead, it's the man who is challenging Paul Corbridge down the inside line up towards Shaw's hairpin, and again Roger Pullen very late on the brakes. He should just about hold that unless he's late on the brakes, which I think he was, but he turns the car in and he still holds the lead.
Meanwhile, the spinner was the 25 car of David Johnson from St Neots at Gerrard's Bend, but he's finally resumed the circuit again. But let's have a look at the leaders as they come back towards us then. It is still the 13 car that is ahead, which is Roger Pullen. So it's Pullen from Corbridge, then Harrison 3rd, Hemingway up to 4th, down Rankine down to 5th. Here comes Aaron Pullen though. What can he do? Lap times are, well, I was going to say have settled down a bit, but Pullen's just at the best lap of the race, a 105.52. He's got the gap down to 2.5 seconds between Rankine in 5th and Aaron Pullen in 6th place. Still Neil Hurren 7th, Richard Avery is 8th, Kevin Molyneux is 9th, and Ian Davis completes the top 10. The best of the Hyundai Coupes, by the way, is the 58 car of Simon Miles from Stockbridge.
And and it was nearly take 2 for the race lead down the Seb Straight, because again Paul Corbridge got a fantastic run down there in towards the S's. Is he going to be side by side with Roger Pullen? I think he is. Nearly contact between the two again as they turn their way on towards the hairpin. This is great action for the lead. They're keeping it as clean as possible as well. Not much contact between the two, and while this is all going on, as Roger Pullen now breaks himself, Paul Corbridge back towards the inside line. I was just about to say Nathan Harrison's getting in on the action as well, so it's 3 for the race lead. But who is going to be the race leader down through Devil's Elbow? It's going to be now Paul Corbridge.
Yes, he's taken the lead then as they come through to complete lap number 8, profiting there from Roger Pullen, I think, going too late on the brakes in these very wet conditions into Shaw's Corner. So Corbridge it is that leads. He won race number 1 as well. In second place it's Roger Pullen. In third it's Nathan Harrison, and the gap back to David Hemingway in fourth spot. Craig Rankine is fifth, and Alan Pullen is sixth, but he took another 2.3 seconds out of Rankine on that lap. So we'll look back to have a look at that particular scrap for 5th and 6th positions, and it looks like Pullen has already gone through. Yes, he has, and Pullen is now about to attack David Hemingway for 4th place. We've just got 5.5 minutes left in this race. Don't rule out the car that is currently in 5th position.
Ooh, and a big spin there for the 3rd place man of Nathan Harrison. He loses it on the way to the S's. That holds up Dave Hemingway and also Aaron Pullen, but now Aaron looks to make the move now as the green flags come through. There goes in Davies for a ride across the grass as well. He can, so Craig Rankin, sorry, who goes for a ride. He just about manages to hold it before he heads back to the tarmac, but
and a spinner down here into the gravel. Is that John Winter again? Yes, it is. The number 46 car of John Winter, rather beached as well in the gravel trap down beneath us at Devil's Elbow. As the leaders have gone through, Paul Corbridge and Roger Pullen. Corbridge slowed up for the yellow flags there. Roger Pullen closed right up behind him, I think, but no change in the order. It's Hemingway 3rd, Pullen 4th now, then Hurren and Rankin 5th and 6th after we had that spin at Lake Esses. So the leaders making their way around Gerrard's Bend now. For those of you watching at home, you can see this scrap for 3rd place going on. It's between David Hemingway and the man who started at the back of the grid, and that was Aaron Pullen. Oh, a big off there for number 93. That's Gary Lawrence at Lake Esses. He's got a rather biffed and battered car up at Lake Esses now. But meanwhile, let's continue to look at this battle that's turning its way into Lake Esses. They go past the back marker, and a better run through that part of the circuit, but they're going through a yellow flag zone. Yellow flags covering a lot of the lap here, and that's not making life any easier for Aaron Pullen as he tries to get 3rd place away. The hairpin is one opportunity for him to do so, but he goes very late on the brakes into the corner. They both go very wide indeed. So does Neil Hurren, following them, I think, both particularly late on the brakes up at Shaw's Corner. Who comes through in 3rd place? It's still the 43 cars. The checkered flag goes out and Paul Corbridge takes the win. Pullen takes 2nd place, and it's just going to be David Hemingway that holds on to 3rd place in the end. Alan Pullen is 4th, and Neil Hurren is 5th. 6th place is going to go the way of the number 6 car in the end of Richard Avery, with the checkered flag being shown about 3.5 minutes early, because I think of all of the incidents that were around the track. So the race being brought to a halt with an early checkered flag, and it was Paul Corbridge that took the win. A bit unfortunate, if you like, for Aaron Pullen that he didn't get the opportunity to get the 3rd place away from Dave Hemingway, and possibly more places made up in the course of that race. But I think the right decision with that Hyundai Coupe of John Winter and the Gary Lawrence car, both in pretty prone positions, it has to be said, around the track, particularly in these wet conditions. So the top 2 drivers heading into Victory Lane. They will head to the interview room, which makes it sound like they're in for a grilling from Matt Suckling, who's about to head downstairs. He'll have a word with Paul Corbridge, with Roger Pullen, and with David Hemingway as well, the driver of car number 5. So checkered flag coming out a little bit early in that YourIrishShop.com MR2 Racing Series and PC Buy It Hyundai Coupe Cup, but probably the right decision as there were a few cars littered about the circuit that needed to be recovered. So that's all of the action from the MR2s this weekend. We will then turn our attention to race number 17 on the programme, which is the Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship. We don't yet, I don't think, have any more results to give you. There's nothing else that has been delivered to the commentary box as yet, but just as soon as we have some more results, I'll give those to you. So if you'd like to turn to page 18 of your programmes, you'll see the entry list there for the Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship race. You need to note that in this race, the 56 car is going to be driven by Nick Padmore's dad, so Keith Padmore is at the wheel this time. Of course, Nick was the winner of the earlier race. Class E, car number 1, Andy Messon, becomes car 5, although we didn't see him out in the earlier race. Class F, car number 11, is going to be driven by Jack Stanford, rather than Roger Stanford, who is unwell, of course. 41, David Pickering, is not a starter, so delete number 41, David Pickering. And a number I can tell you for the car in Class X, which is the invitation class, that's driven by Michel Daldon of Etretat, and the number will be number 9 that he races with today. Let me tell you about the grid then, the way the grid will line up for race number 17 on your programmes, and as I say, you can fill this in on page 18. On the front row, 77 and 1, 77 Richard Sprigg and 1 Phil Manser. On the second row, 76 and 22, 76 Stephen Sprigg and 22 Tony Preston. The third row, 83 and 52, 83 Tim Dodwell and 52 Paul Clayton. On the fourth row, 53 and 68, 53 Stuart Radford and 68 Keith Wright. On the fifth row, 69 and 19, 69 Luke Wilson and 19 Alan Boyce. On the sixth row, 14 and 2, 14 Steve Barber and 2 Julian Crossley. On the seventh row, 9 and 11, 9 Michel Daldon and 11 Jack Stanford. On the 8th row, 27 and 72, 27 Jim Burrows and 72 Anthony Warnes. And on the 9th row, number 56 is Keith Padmore, so he has to start from the back of the grid. Those of you watching the live stream, you can see the results of the MR2 Racing Series race and the Hyundai Coupe Cup on your screen now. You'll see that Paul Corbridge took the win from Roger Pullen and David Hemingway, and those three drivers are about to talk to Matt Suckling.
Go then with another podium, Paul Corbridge, victory for the day. You must be a happy man again.
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed to see the rain really, because they had the first race. I've seemed quite in control, so it was a bit of a random factor to bring into the second race. But after we got used to the conditions, we could find the limit. Yeah, it started to come good, and yeah.
One where you kind of brought out the gap, and it was a big old gap. This one was a lot of competition for you again.
It's the rain. It's a big level. It's a bit of randomness into the race. It's all a bit slidey out there. It's good fun actually once you get used to it. But yeah, pleased with that.
Roger Pullen. Roger, hop over here, have a quick word with us. Great to see you on the podium. How did that one go for you?
Yeah, very good. Got away fairly good. There seemed to be a gap open up on the outside of Gerard, so I just went for it, and next thing I knew I was in the front.
And tricky conditions out there, but some you kind of relish in.
Very tricky, yeah, I don't mind it, really. Paul got past me because I was on 3 cylinders. That's my excuse. But yeah, no, it's good fun.
Great stuff, well done on second place. And Dave Hemingway, our final podium visitor there, third place for you. Talk us through your race.
A little bit sliding everywhere, so same as everybody else really, but yeah, really tricky conditions, and gifted by Nathan spinning with a couple of laps to go.
MR2s, as always, it's always very competitive racing and close.
Very competitive, yeah, it's one of the tightest series in the UK. That's one of the reasons we're all here, we love it.
Oh, it's always great to watch. Well done, guys, on another cracking race. Hop outside once again, and we'll have a quick word on TV for you, and you can get your trophies from Steve Ince from the Track Attack Race Club. For now, though, we are turning our attention, I think, to more classic touring car action, as is the case here with the Classic Festival. And once again, we've got another 15-minute race to look forward to in the rain with Ian Soman.
Thanks, Matt, and it's going to be race number 17 on your programmes, but first of all, I can give you the result of race number 15. So if you do want to fill this in on your Sutton programmes, you can do so. The space to write this is on the foot of page number 14, and the winner was number 6, Jim McLaughlin. Second was number 76, Neil Bray. Third, number 79, Simon Sheridan. Fourth, number 88, Paul Bellamy. Fifth, number 46, Dave Hickton. Sixth, number 7, Richard Miller. Seventh, number 5, Mark Fowler. Eighth, number 14, Malcolm Wise. Ninth, number 35, Derek Bowley. And 10th was 56, Mike Sheraton. So that was 6, 76, 79, 88, 46, 7, 5, 14, 35 and 56. 10 laps completed by the race winner, 15 laps completed by the race winner I should say, in 16 minutes 6.468 seconds. 16 minutes 06.468 seconds, an average speed of 75.42 miles per hour. 75.42 miles per hour. Fastest lap of the race, that went to number 6, that was Jim McLaughlin, and a time of 1 minute 2.337 seconds. 1 minute 2.337 seconds, 77.96 miles per hour. 77.96 miles per hour. So up to date with results. We can turn our attention in a few moments' time back to race number 17 on the programmes, which is the Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship. So just some clearing up work to be done before the 17th race of our programme gets underway, the Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship. Some of the competitors who've completed their racing for the weekend taking the opportunity to leave the paddock and head home. Mallory Park, relatively unusual in that the paddock being on the centre of the circuit is not accessible other than via the using the leg up to the hairpin, so drivers are only able to leave the circuit in between races. Alex Van Eyerheim, I can see, heading home now, is number 27 Ford Fiesta ST on the back of the trailer. And so the paddock thinning out a little bit more space in there. But still 4 races to go. So we've got coming up next the Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship. Then we've got the PerformanceCars.com Classic Thunder Championship, the Autoglim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship. Then we'll round off this Autoglim Classic Festival with the second of the 2 Alfa Romeo Owners Club races. Don't forget you can find out more about Mallory Park on the website mallorypark.co.uk. Find out about future events being run here at the circuit. You can find more out about the Classic Touring Car Racing Club at classictouringcars.com. classictouringcars.com is where you'll find the website of the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. They have 3 more race events before the end of the season. They'll be back to running with the British Automobile Racing Club for the end of the season as part of BARC race meetings. They'll be going to Snetterton on the 31st of August to the 1st of September, and that is as part of the Citroën Deux Chevaux 24-hour race weekend. So 31st of August, 1st of September at Snetterton for the 8th and 9th rounds of the various Classic Touring Car Racing Club Championships. Then to Croft on the 21st and 22nd of September up in North Yorkshire. Excellent circuit, Croft. A real challenge to the drivers. That's rounds 10 and 11. Then the championship season concludes rounds 12 and 13 on the 12th and 13th of October on the Silverstone National Circuit. So that's where the season will round off, and the championships will no doubt be decided. The ice cream van at Mallory Park makes its way around the perimeter road looking for people who want to buy an ice cream in this weather. I think the rain has stopped, the brollies have come down by and large. Those of you under your gazebo on the banking, you're very well placed indeed. Very shortly we'll have cars out onto the circuit then for this Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship race. I've given you the grid already. Earlier on we had a win for Nick Padmore, and he now is going to watch the car be taken over by his father Keith Padmore, but because Keith qualified the car out of session, he has to start this race from the back of the grid. So watch out for car 56 from the back. We'll see what he can do. We did have a few retirements from the earlier race, so there might be a few gaps on the grid that we'll try and tell you about once the grid forms up. But certainly I can see Tony Preston making his way out of the pit lane now in car number 22, and that's the Morris Minor. And Tony from Tavistock in Devon, he's an art teacher. He's driving the oldest car in the race. His best ever lap at Mallory Park was here last year, a 1:00.8. Now, he didn't improve that in qualifying, and in the first race he was a bit slow again, but the conditions, they're just about dry, weren't they, for that first race of the day for the classic and historic touring cars. When this car was new, it had a top speed of 62 miles per hour. This car, well, it averaged in that first race, the 15 or 16 lap race around Mallory Park, it averaged 75 miles an hour. The top speed now is approximately 120 miles per hour. The car was built in 1955. It's been racing for 28 years. It was originally built by New Zealander and Grand Prix driver Bill Stone, later of March Engineering. The car has a 1275cc BMC A series engine. That's Tony Preston then. He's going to line up on the outside of the second row of the grid in that black Morris Minor that's now nearly 60 years old, would you believe? Next up on the grid is going to be number 83. That's Tim Dodwell, the 68-year-old retired shopkeeper from Wellington in Somerset. He's been involved in all forms of motorsport since 1967. He started racing in this particular car. He's had a lot of fun with it and the occasional good result as well. No more can be expected, as this is a tractable road car. It's driven to its meetings as well. It's a 1965 Austin Cooper S in original specification, including the hydroelastic suspension. All of the interior trim is in the car. It's got glass windows as well, unlike most of the cars that we'll see racing. 1293cc Austin engine with stage 2 head and camshaft. He's owned and used it for competition since new, and it's always driven to its events as well, all the way from Wellington in Somerset. So that's Tim Dodwell, car number 83 on the inside of the third row of the grid. Next up on the grid, on the outside of row 3, is number 52. That's Paul Clayton, who's also 52 years old. He's from Sleaford in Lincolnshire. He's a sales manager, and worth noting, this is his first time out today. Well, he did very well to finish 6th in the earlier race there, did Paul Clayton. This Austin A35. This will only be his second race. It's a 1957 car and built to Classic Touring Car Racing Club specification. 1293cc engine built to the Ray Davis Racing historic A35 specification. The shell was bought for £50 3 years ago. It's been built into full historic race specification by the driver Paul Clayton over the last 18 months. The running gear comes from Ray Davis Racing, the A35 Master, as it says here. And Julian Crossley is out there as well, we hope, on the outside of row 6 in car number 2, the 45-year-old managing director from Warwick. Just looking to see if I can see him, and I don't think... Oh no, I can. Julian Crossley is out there, that's good to see. I don't think he finished the race earlier on today. No, he didn't. He's the Pre-66 Class C champion in 2010, and this is the oldest racing Mini. It was made in the first 2 months of production of the Mini back in 1959. The car was hill climbs in the 1970s. It was stored in a barn until 2005 and then restored. So an interesting history for the number 2 Mini of Julian Crossley. Right, a gap on the grid. Stephen Sprigg is not there, number 76 in the Lotus Cortina. Not entirely surprised, didn't look in the best of form earlier. Well, he is there, but he's out of position. So he's going to be shuffled through into his grid slot. Is he, or is he going to start at the back? What's going to happen here? Marshals are chasing after him now. Oh, hang on. Right. Stephen Sprigg is going somewhere backwards up the grid. Quite why, I'm not sure. But we'll see what we can make of that. Other cars that might be missing then. There's no 14 Steve Barber. That's a shame. We're not going to see his Ford Anglia out. We've got no number 11 Jack Stanford. We've got no number 9 Michel Deldon. It looks like Stephen Sprigg is going to start next to Keith Pasmore at the back of the grid. Green flag is waved at the back. And we are about to go racing here at Mallory Park. The 30-second board is raised then. It's Richard Sprigg in the Anglia on pole position. Phil Manser is next to him. 5-second board goes up. Red lights are about to be turned on. They are now. And the race gets underway now. Even start from the 2 front row men. Paul Clayton gets a little bit boxed in behind the Morris Minor. It's a good start from Tim Dodwell in the Mini as well. He slots up into third position then as the cars make their way down towards Gerrard's Bend for the first time. But is it going to be Richard Sprigg or Phil Manser that leads into Gerrard's Bend? It's the Mini, I think, that's got his nose in front. Yes, he has. So the reigning champion Phil Manser takes the lead away from Richard Sprigg as the Anglia goes around Gerrard's Bend for the first time.
I think we've lost Tim Dodwell as well, because the Mini was spinning on the inside there. It now rejoins, so he gets going, but right at the back of the field. So a lot of work to do for the Mini once again. Phil Manser, though, is in charge of this race. He's up front by quite a margin already at the end of this first lap, very shortly to beat, as he heads up towards Shaw's hairpin for the first time. Second place then is Richard Sprigg. Third place is going to be the car of number 22, no, not 22, sorry, Tony Preston's further back. But coming through the field here looks to be a very quick Julian Crossley. So with that wheel back on the car after race number 1, he's now being challenged by the number 27 car, who looks right round the outside, which is Jim Burrows. We've got 2 Minis together. They still run side by side on the exit, and finally Jim Burrows gets himself ahead and into third place.
But it is a big lead for Phil Manser then at the end of lap 1 in car number 1. It's Richard Sprigg, number 77, in second place, coming through. In third place is Jim Burrows, in fourth Julian Crosley, but Keith Padmore from the back of the grid all the way up to fifth position on the opening lap of the race. So a great first lap from Keith Padmore. It's the Morris Minor of number 68, Keith Wright, in sixth position. In seventh place is the 52 car, that's the A35 of Paul Clayton, and then also from the back, Stephen Sprigg up to 8th place in the Cortina.
So Keith Padmore turns his way onto Steb Straight down there at the minute. Meantime, for second place as well, it's Jim Burrows, who's made up another place on another lap. So through into second place now goes the turquoise coloured Mini. Past Richard Sprigg, his turn. So the Mini's really relishing these wetter conditions. We've got 4 with inside the top 5. Jim Burrows is up there, and the man who gets out of shape through the S's was Julian Crossley. He's now going to have a Keith Padmore in his tail. Of course, Nick did the first race his son. Keith now up into 4th place as they hit the anchors for Shaw's hairpin. So through he goes. Now next on the target list will be Richard Sprigg, who was just up the road, and he should be long before he's under attack again.
Oh, Phil Manser, beautiful to watch the way he just chugged that Mini through Devil's elbow. Very experienced driver is Phil Manser, in the lead of this race by 4.4 seconds, but it's Jim Burrows that's the faster driver on that second lap. He's got the fastest lap of the race, a 1:05.986. He was 1.4 seconds faster than the race leader. The gap is 4.4 seconds between the pair of them as we go on to the third lap of this race. It's Stephen Sprigg, Richard Sprigg, I beg your pardon, third, Keith Padmore fourth, Julian Crossley fifth, and it's still Keith Wright in sixth position in that number 68 Morris Minor.
Here we go again then with Richard Sprigg under attack, this time from Keith Padmore in the green Mini. So here they go, and just as Ian said there, that the sideways leader Phil Manser is still pushing through the S's as well, so he continues to do it on pretty much every corner on this Mallory Park circuit. So with him pushing on, back to third place we go with still number 77 for all the time being, Richard Sprigg holding on to this place, but he's under attack from these 2 Minis now, first of those being Keith Padmore. On the brakes again they go through Shaw's hairpin, wider line there for Richard Sprigg, which means the back end steps out, no surprise, and then onto the rear of his tail will come the 4th place man Keith Padmore, and just dropping off slightly there, Julian Crossley in 5th.
The gap between the 2 leaders is down to 2.7 seconds though, because that time through Jim Burrows was 1.6 seconds faster than Phil Manser, the 64-year-old farmer from Peterborough, who's been competing since 1968. He competed in autocross, in minis and metros. It's the Metro Challenge from 84 to 7. He was the Mini 7 champion in 96, did Mini Media for 3 years as well around the turn of the millennium too. He's been racing with the Classic Touring Car Racing Club for the last 8 years now, and he was the champion, as we've said, last year. This is a car built and raced by Paul Robinson for use in Mini 7 between 1975 and 1980. Originally raced by Phil in the Mini 7s as well, and rebuilt by him to be raced in the Classic Touring Car Racing Club since 2006. He's still leading this race up at Shaw's Corner, but only just from the number 27 car of Jim Burrows, who has continued to burrow into his advantage.
Yeah, just looking further back for a brief second, Tim Dodwell still continuing to charge back through the field. He's now up into, across the line he went past Stuart Radford, so he's into 10th place now. Next on his list will be the car of number 22, which is Tony Preston. Those 3 cars turning their way down the step straight in towards the S's for the 5th time this being for that bunch of cars, and then back to our race leader who has already gone through, Phil Manser and Jim Burrows. But third place, it's all on once again. Richard Sprigg, the man there in 4th place, being passed on the outside by Julian Crossley. So Julian's on the outside, Keith Padmore trying to hold the inside line. The 2 Minis go side by side in towards Gerrard's, and once again the 4th place man Keith Padmore just about holds onto it. On towards Steb Straight they'll go.
Yeah, absolutely. So a good fight, a 3-way fight for third position then, as the 76 car of Stephen Sprigg, that's the Lotus Cortina, now makes its way up into 6th position. It goes across the line, and Keith Wright and Paul Clayton battling over 7th and 8th place. But let's watch this battle as they head down to Lake Esses between Richard Sprigg, and then you've got Keith Padmore in the 56 car, you've got Julian Crossley in the 2 car, the oldest competing racing Mini. Sideways a little bit, here's the angle of Richard Sprigg, although he did say he's passed that mantle over onto his son Stephen, who races the Lotus Cortina. When we spoke to him earlier on, the leaders now are together now. We're watching this battle for third place, which is great, but the 2 leaders together now. They're going on to lap number 6, absolutely together. Can Jim Burrows have a look at Phil Manser? He thought about it as they went into Gerrard's Bend that time, but still unable to make it through. Absolutely nose to tail, the 2 Minis then as they round Gerrard's Bend and head onto the back straight. Meanwhile, it's not quite as close as it was for third. The leaders heading down the Stubby Straight for the 6th time now, Matt.
Yep, and they were separated by about 0.3 of a second, which in terms of car length is about 2 or 3. It's not much at all. So down towards the S's, they'll now head with the back markers to deal with within the next few corners. So who will make the best work of them? We'll wait and find out. They turn now on towards Shaw's hairpin. The run up the hill, of course, they've got to go through. Meantime, back into third place is still Richard Sprigg, really having to work his car at the minute. The Ford Anglia really sideways at most of the corners. He's now still under attack from fourth place man, which is being Keith Padmore. Then through the S's this time, he seems to pull away slightly again. The back end steps down, which is fantastic to see. Probably not fantastic to drive when it's sideways. You never know, Richard Sprigg might like it. He said after the first race he wants to keep it as straight as possible. At the minute it's not going that way. Meantime, for the race lead, still as they were, the gap is still 3/10 of a second, still Phil Manser and Jim Burrows.
But there's now back markers ahead of the leaders. There are 4 slower cars for them to try and negotiate. You can see Luke Wilson's car in there, the Austin A40. You can see the Stuart Radford Triumph. I think they've just got past the Wolsey Saloon as well. And that has meant that there's a bit of a gap now in favour of Phil Manser. I think he's caught that traffic a little bit better on this 7th lap of the race. So Phil Manser has pulled out slightly from Jim Burrows. The gap was 0.3 of a second. It's gone out to maybe 7 or 8 of a second now, as they're now coming up to lap the number 22. Preston Morris Minor climbing the hill now towards Shaw's Corner. This is lap 7 of the race. There's 7.5 minutes still to go. So it's still Manser from Burrows. They're back to nose to tail hill again as they come out of the hairpin.
And it gets very close for comfort as well for fourth place, because Keith Padmore in towards the S's was defending hard from Julian Crossley. He managed to make that move pay off, and he keeps, for the time being, Julian Crossley behind him. So those 3 cars up towards the hairpin. Race leaders again across the stripe they go. Still Phil Manser ahead of Jim Burrows by 0.3 of a second. Once again with under 7 minutes to go now, so we're over half race distance in this second Thermix Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship race.
Oh, they're so sideways, those minis through Gerrard's Bend. It's absolutely fantastic to watch. It's still Manser leading from Burrows in the 27 car. Burrows a retirement from the race earlier on today, but he's bouncing back in style here. As you say, still lots going on for 3rd, 4th and 5th positions as well. We'll keep an eye to that battle in just a moment. But the leaders making their way through the S's now, and they are more or less side by side there, climbing up towards Shaw's hairpin. They're just behind the 68 Morris Minor. This is Keith Wright. Keith Wright to the left-hand side of the circuit. Good run there out of the corner though from Jim Burrows. He's got alongside, he's notched alongside, he's in front. Phil Manser has to take evasive action, so the lead now goes to Jim Burrows, number 27. A good move for that at the hairpin.
Yeah, I don't know if Phil Manser saw him coming, because he went to take the line and the car then had to turn the other way. So Phil Manser trying to get out of that one as quick as possible. He has to give up the race lead though to Jim Burrows. He's going to try and fight back as they head down towards Gerrard's for the 9th time in this race. With those guys already through Gerrard's, the battle for 3rd place is just turning its way down towards Devil's Elbow, still led by Richard Sprigg. 4th place then for Keith Padmore, but how much longer for? Because again on towards the outside line comes Julian Crossley. The 2 minis again side by side, just like the race leaders were a lap ago. It's, again Crossley on the outside, Padmore on the inside. Can Crossley do the switch back to get towards the exit of Gerrard's and the optimum line? I don't think he can. So once again he keeps trying, but it's not paying off at the minute.
Well, it's not. He's still having a go though. There's still 5 minutes or so left of this race, and there's some back markers ahead, and they'll be trying to pounce on those. Interesting, a bit of a moment there as the back stepped out for Richard Sprigg. That's given both of those minis a sniff of a chance here, and Julian Crossley trying to go around the outside of the number 56 car of Keith Padmore there at the S's, and a big sideways moment for Richard Sprigg in the Anglia. They're almost up on the traffic now. It's Stuart Radford in his Triumph 2000 that they'll try and get past first. Into Shaw's Corner they go. This is the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th positions. Don't forget, they're coming up to lap. They've lapped Radford, Preston in the Morris Minor, and I think Dodwell will shortly be lapped as well, maybe. The leaders have gone through. In fact, it's Luke Wilson, isn't it, that they are about to lap, and they've just lapped the 72 Wolsey, which is the car of Anthony Warren. So that battle for 3rd rages on. It is still it has changed the order, hasn't it? Because Padmore has lost out in all of that to Julian Crossley.
Yeah, he got through, and he also nearly got past Richard Sprigg on that lap as well, but the car was sideways as expected, and there was a back marker in the way, which meant he couldn't quite get it done. But yeah, Julian Crossley now ahead of Keith Padmore on that previous lap. He goes down Steb straight in 4th place. Keith Padmore in 5th place. 6th place is then the other Sprigg, which is Stephen Sprigg. 8th place next up, 7th place is Paul Clayton. 8th place is the 68 car of Keith Wright for the time being. More sideways from Richard Sprigg through the S's, and up front Jim Burrows has now extended after getting past Phil Manser, 3.1 seconds ahead.
The Lotus Cortina of the 6th place man Stephen Sprigg is recovering from a moment at the S's, so he's lost some time. I don't know if he'll have lost a position. The next car behind him, he may well have done, because Paul Clayton now comes through. Yes, Paul Clayton up to 6th position, the man in only his second ever motor race. So it's Burrows leading by 3.1 seconds from Manser, and here comes the 3rd place man, that's Stephen Sprigg, just putting a lap on Tim Dodwell. It's Julian Crossley 4th, Keith Padmore 5th, Paul Clayton in that 52 car is now 6th. He's the first of the cars to be a lap down. In 7th place is Keith Wright in the Morris Minor. 8th is Tim Dodwell in his Mini. 9th is another Morris Minor, that's Tony Preston. And 10th is the Luke Wilson Austin A40. As it looks like pit bound is going to be the number 76 car of Stephen Sprigg, who's just fighting to find a gear.
Yeah, and with just 3 minutes left, he's into the pits and out of this race, unfortunately. Meantime, Jim Burrows comes through. We have got 11 laps now to be completed, with this gap between himself and Phil Manser staying about the same, I'd say. Phil Manser continues to push on though, he's not going to let it go that easy. It was 3.1, it now goes down to 3.8, but Phil Manser just doing his personal best lap time of the race, 106.124. That still wasn't quite quick enough to get on terms with Jim Burrows once again. The fight for 3rd place turns its way through Shaw's hairpin, another back marker to deal with for these 3 cars, that being Keith Wright in the red and white machine, and Richard Sprigg is now trying to pull himself away from Julian Crossley. Of course, Julian got through a couple of laps ago past Keith Padmore, and now he's got that man ahead, Richard Sprigg, to try and find his way through. So down towards Gerrard's, the 2 cars now go, with Keith Padmore a little bit further back than he was a few laps ago. And let's see what Julian could do. Was he quicker that time through? He was, by about half a second.
Be interesting to see how the championship looks after this weekend. There was only 1 point separating the first 3 drivers coming into this weekend. Leading was Andy Messon, but he's taken no part today. Tony Preston's had a class win and is currently heading for 3rd. There's a change here for 3rd position, is that? No, there's not. It looked like Julian Crossley might be lining up Richard Sprigg there, going into Lake Esses, or coming out of Gerrard's Bend, I should say. But Jim Burrows was in 3rd place, 1 point behind the 2 joint leaders, Tony Preston and Andy Messon, but Jim had a non-finish early on, so the fact that he's going to take the race win here is, well, it will help him as far as the championship is concerned, but it's not as good as it might have been. Meanwhile, up at Shaw's Corner, Keith Padmore having a look down the inside of Julian Crossley to try and get 4th place back with a minute and 11 seconds to go in this race.
Yep, so once again we look at 3rd place. Julian Crossley again will try this move down the straight, but will the Mini have the horsepower of the Ford Anglia up ahead of it? It's going to give it a good try, as more back markers to deal with. Very shortly Paul Clayton is to go a lap down as well, so in towards Gerrard's they go as the marshals wave the blue flags vigorously down there to warn the slower drivers of faster cars coming through. And again, yep, Julian Crossley pulls himself onto the tail of Richard Sprigg as they head through Gerrard's, and again onto the tail comes Keith Padmore. So as it was kind of dispersing itself out, it's now all back together for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Meantime, Jim Burrows down towards Devil's Elbow, and very shortly to start his last lap.
Yeah, last lap border will go out to Jim Burrows, who this will be a 14 lap race this time for these cars. Meanwhile, the 3rd place fight continues. It's still the same order. Sprigg from Crossley from Padmore. They turn their way through the left-hander now at Lake Esses. Oh, and again, really sideways, but that's how he drives it. Richard Sprigg drives the Anglia like that. It seems to work for him. Up to Shaw's Corner, through a puddle-based splash, turning now for the right-hand hairpin, slowest corner in British motor racing. Then they accelerate their way out of the corner, past the bus stop chicane, down to Devil's Elbow for what will be the penultimate time. It's still Sprigg from Crossley from Padmore, but Crossley is closer to Sprigg this time and is going to try and make a move, is he? I'm not sure he'll quite have the legs on Sprigg down the Kirkby straight in towards Gerrard's Bend. About to turn into the right-hander now, and it's still Sprigg that prevails in 3rd position. A big sideways moment there for the 4th place man, Julian Crossley, and he has lost some time there. That puts him under pressure from Keith Padmore, but through Devil's Elbow for the final time comes the number 27 car. That is going to be a win for Jim Burrows. It will be his 2nd win of the season to add to one he scored at Rockingham. Phil Manser, our winner earlier on, has to settle for 2nd position, but who is going to be 3rd? They're heading through the Esses, Matt.
Yep, so down they go. It's going to be one last offence and a sideways number 2, Julian Crossley. So he tried there to make the move, but he wasn't quite close enough, so somehow the back end step round, and that means Keith Padmore goes through, and after all that drama, he only loses 1 place, so he's down to 5th now. That then relieves the pressure on Richard Sprigg in towards the final corner, and it looks like he's going to pick up his second podium of the day. Of course, got second in race number 1, is set to be third in race number 2. He's been hurried to the line by the man in 4th place, Keith Padmore. Of course, that car was taken to victory in race number 1. Keith hasn't done a bad job at all from taking that from the back up into 4th place. But checker flag waves for number 77, Richard Sprigg. 4th place then to Keith Padmore, and 5th place there after sideways on that last lap, Julian Crossley.
So the win then going to Jim Burrows by 6.2 seconds in the end, in conditions that sort of stabilised during the course of that race. No particularly quick laps towards the end of it, other than for Tim Dodwell in 8th and Tony Preston in 9th. They both improved on their final laps of the race. Oh, and talking of Tim Dodwell, he just had a moment. He's had a spin coming out of Devil's Elbow, so that means that he will lose a place. In fact, Tony Preston comes across the line 8th, and Tim Dodwell comes across the line in 9th position instead as a result of that. So Matt Suckling is going to head downstairs to talk to the top 3. While he does that, I'll bring you another result. It's the result of race number 16 on the programmes, page 16 as well, the YourIrishShop.com MR2 Racing Series and PC Buy It Hyundai Coupe Cup. And the win went to number 43, Paul Corbridge. Second was number 13, Roger Pullen. Third was number 5, David Hemingway. Fourth, number 69, Aaron Pullen. Fifth was 87, Neil Hurren. Sixth, number 6, Richard Avery. Seventh, number 22, Craig Rankine. Eighth was 41, Kevin Molyneux. Ninth, number 27, Ian Davis. And 10th, number 64, Steve Hennessy. So that was 43, 13, 5, 69, 87, 6, 22, 41, 27 and 64. The winner's time for 10 laps was 11 minutes 17.436 seconds, 11 minutes 17.436 seconds, an average speed of 71.74 miles per hour, 71.74 miles per hour. The fastest lap of the race, that went to number 69, Aaron Pullen, from the back of the grid to 4th, 1 minute 5.512 seconds, 1 minute 5.512 seconds, an average of 74.18 miles per hour, 74.18 miles per hour. I don't think I give you the winner's time. 11:17.436 was the winner's time for 10 laps. 11:17.436, 71.74 miles per hour. So we're up to date once again with results. We'll turn our attention next to race number 18 on the programmes, and we're back to the PerformanceCars.com Classic Thunder Championship. And a big shame to report here, because the pole position car of Mark Biggers has been withdrawn. So Mark Biggers is a withdrawal from the race. He reported having that misfire at times during the opening race when he spoke to Matt Suckling afterwards. But maybe that was a more serious problem, as Mark discovered afterwards, and therefore he's decided not to take part in this race. But we do gain another car in the form of Ollie Allen at the back of the grid. But I can hear noises off, so down in the interview room is Matt Suckling.
Yeah, thanks once again, Ian. We've got our top 3 from that race, and what a classic race it was, because as always with that sort of racing, we see lots of sideways stuff from the drivers. Jim, come over here and have a quick chat with us. A great race from yourself. Describe it for us first off.
Start on the back of the grid for not finishing the first race, well, it tends to make you a little bit more aggressive, so we say. And yes, it was good, and the car's very good in the wet, so we had a good race.
It kind of puts the weekend on a good spin to end, really, because a non-finishing first race, second race is a win, so it's going home happy.
At least we've got a win and we're going home, so that's nice for the weekend.
A cracking race there. Second place at Make Your Way over here, Phil. Phil, you got third in the first race, second in this one. Once again for you.
It's been a good weekend. It's been good fun. Yeah, Jim beat me fair and square. He was just playing quicker.
And for that one, the conditions have stopped raining first off. It's still tricky track conditions.
Yeah, and actually I would have rather it stayed raining, but you can't have it always.
Jim got past you. You just had to let him go, didn't you?
I had to let him go, and he was just playing faster. He seemed to have more grip, more skill and everything.
Well on second, Phil, and congratulations on that one. And we'll have a word as well with Richard Sprigg. A second visit to the podium today as well for you. And that one, you had 2 minis in your rear view mirror.
I certainly did, yeah. I thought Anglia's rear-wheel drive was supposed to go much better than that in the wet. I thought Minis were useless and Anglia's were fabulous, but there we go. I really, really enjoyed it, and it was lovely to see Julian, the Thermix sponsor, right in the mirrors and pushing me. Yeah, it was really great to see him there, but I think he spun in the S's. So on the last sort of 3/4 of a lap. So there we go. Lovely day, and thank you very much.
Ford Anglia, and the Ford Anglia is still pushing on hard.
Oh, I love the Anglia. We've developed it as much as we can for this club, and I can't make it go any quicker. I don't understand why the Minis can drive away from me, but fair play to them. They're lovely guys, lovely cars.
Well done, Richard, on third place. I don't think anyone else can make it go any quicker, but you do a sterling job. So well done to Richard Sprigg, and another great race from the Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship. For now, though, a bit more thunder, with Classic Thunder very shortly heading to the track.
Yes, but as we said, not quite as much thunder as we might have hoped, because no Mark Biggers on the grid for this second race of the weekend for the PerformanceCars.com Classic Thunder Championship. Let's tell you about the changes to the programme that you need to make then. Class A2 first of all. Number 1, Ashley Bird, reclassified to go into Class C. An addition in Class B was number 66. Number 66 in Class B, that will be Andy Pearman. Andy Pearman in his Ford Cosworth. Ford Cosworth for Andy Pearman. And another addition to the programme is number 17, Ollie Allen, in his Ford Fiesta. Not quite sure which class he's going to go into, but he's joined this race. He's going to start at the back of the grid, so that should be some good fun to watch. The grid then is going to line up as follows. On the front row, 38 and 47. 38 and 47. This is on page 20 of your programmes, by the way. 38, Peter Cook. 47, Piers Grange. The second row, 44 and 1. 44, Ian Froggatt. And 1, Ashley Bird. Third row, 73 and 88. 73, Stuart Day. And 88, Paul Bellamy. On the fourth row, 19 and 6. 19, James McIntyre-Yearn. And 6, Andy Robinson. Row 5, 157 and 66. 157, Tim Swatkin. 66, Andy Pearman. Row 6, 64 and 37. 64, Amanda Ewings, and 37, Graham Ewings. Row 7, 56 and 16. 56, Andrew Sheraton, and 16, Vaughan Fletcher. On the 8th row, 23 and 17. 23 is AJ Owen, but he will be a non-starter. He had a turbo problem in race 1, and that has ended his weekend after only a lap of racing. And at 17, Ollie Allen will join the back row of the grid. We'll see if all of the cars are out there. Just being released out onto the circuit now behind the Alfa Romeo safety car, with hopefully the rain having stopped and the weather may well be set fair for the rest of this afternoon now, with this 15-minute race ahead of us, and then 2 more 15-minute races after that for the Auto Glim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship and the Alfa Romeo Owners Club race as well, still to come. On to race 18 now, the PerformanceCars.com Classic Thunder Championship. The cars out onto the circuit now for round 7 of the season in this championship. As we mentioned earlier on, the championship lead, James Card, not here this weekend. The second place driver in the championship, which is James McIntyre from Class B. Earlier on he won Class B, so he picked up maximum points there, so good news for him. Bad news for AJ Owen, a non-finish in the second of the race at Pembrey, and he's not going to take any further part in the weekend here. So AJ Owen was third in the championship. I think we'll find he slips back a bit. Fourth in the championship, Amanda Ewings from Class E. She won her class early on, so again good points for Amanda Ewings, so she'll be closing in on AJ Owen during the course of this weekend. Fifth in the championship was Roger Stanford. Of course, we've heard sadly he had a heart attack yesterday and is recovering in hospital. And sixth equal in the championship, Nigel Olive-Jones and Adrian Tuckley, neither of whom taking part. So a bit of a shake-up in the championship for this series, with 6 races to go after this one at Snetterton, Croft and Silverstone. But first of all, we've got 15 minutes of racing ahead of us. Let's see what gaps there may be on the grid though, because we think that We know that Mark Bigg isn't there, so Peter Cook has shuffled up into pole position. First 2 rows look to be intact, but I don't see the Paul Bellamy car that should have been lining up on the outside of row 3. Well, he's had a busy day, hasn't he? So this would have been his final race. Maybe he's decided to put it on the trailer. On the 4th row, yes, that's complete. James McIntyre and Andy Robinson. Good to see Tim Swadkin back out in that 157 car. 66, Andy Pearman is next to him on row 5 of the grid. Row 6, yep, that is looking intact. The BMWs of Amanda Ewings and Graham Ewings, but then I think basically the last 3 cars on the grid all missing. 16, Vaughan Fletcher, 23, AJ Owen, and 17, Ollie Allen, who had only just added into the programme, all missing from the grid. So we have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cars out there on the grid. They survive for the second Classic Thunder race of the weekend. It's going to be again over 15 minutes. It's a rolling start, this one. So the cars very shortly will head off onto their rolling lap, headed by the safety car, but then following them closely behind will be Pete Cook in that menacing black-looking Mitsubishi Evo 9 that he used to drive as a road car. All the modifications to that car have been done by AD Tuning Norfolk and Norris Designs as the green flag lap now gets underway. It's been second in a sports saloon race organised by MSV, first in an MSV team challenge, third in the Northern Sports and Saloon Championship as well in 2013. Pete Cook, the 44-year-old MD from Leeds. Also out there we've got Ian Froggatt, car 44, the 47-year-old haulage contract from Chesterfield in this 1997 Subaru Impreza. Started as a standard road car, 2.1 litre Scooby Clinic engine under the bonnet of that. Ian has been racing for a few seasons now, having started out in the Nippon Challenge and the AAA Championship as well. Tim Swadkin out there as well on the inside of the 5th row of the grid, the 63-year-old from Sittingbourne, an engineer by occupation. His first race at Mallory Park back in 1976 in a Ford Escort Mexico. He raced saloons every season up until 1992, and he was the Thunder Saloon champion in 1987, having stopped racing until 2009. He's been racing sporadically since then, mainly at Spa-Francorchamps a couple of times every year. And I think that's all of the driver sheets that we have for drivers that are actually out there. So pace car leading them up towards Shaw's Corner, and then once it gets around there the safety car will accelerate away, I should think. The drivers will maintain a bit of a gap behind it before launching into action. Still a bit close to the safety car if you ask me, as they make their way down towards Devil's Elbow. The safety car indicates right to show that it's going to pull off into the oval link, which it does now. The red lights are on then. We're shortly to get underway at Mallory Park for this Classic Thunder race, backed by PerformanceCars.com. The race gets underway then. Good start there by Pete Cook in his Mitsubishi Evo 9. He has the lead of the race, but we have a change for second place straight away, I think, because Ian Froggatt goes ahead of Piers Grange and up into second position. Grange is now under threat already from Stuart Day, that is, in his Ford Escort Cosworth WRC. The Escort goes through, and now trying to find a way through as well is James McIntyre. It's not taken him a lot of doing, so James goes up to 4th place.
And it's Ian Froggatt into the lead of the race as well. He's managed to find his way through past Peter Cook in the Mitsubishi Evo, so these conditions definitely suiting the Subaru for the time being. So up towards the hairpin they charge for the first time with this Classic Thunderfield, second time, the second race of the weekend, and in towards the corner. Piers Grange hasn't had the best start at all because he's dropped down and is in strife now because Ashley Bird gets sideways through the corner, tries to get alongside down towards the Devil's Elbow as Ian Froggatt comes up to lead lap number 1. Peter Cook second, third place then Stuart Day, fourth place James McIntyre, fifth place is going to be just about Ashley Bird, I think.
Yes, it was by 25 one-thousandths of a second, so not too much to choose between them as well, but Ashley Bird has secured that place now. He's secured 5th position then as they turn their way through Jawas Bend for the second time. Meanwhile, up in the lead of the race, it is still Ian Froggatt that is ahead of, in second place, Pete Cook, but Stuart Day in that Escort Cosworth WRC that ought to go well in conditions like this. He's still in third place. Battle going on here. It's Grange under the pressure from Andy Robinson, and Robinson is going through for 6th position. So the Fiesta out of that 5.7 litre Chevrolet engine Sierra, and the Escort might get through as well before too much longer. That's Tim Swadkin in the 157 Zaxby liveried car.
Yeah, well, I think he will. So down the inside line goes Tim Swadkin to take that place away from Piers Grange, and Piers Grange now is near enough towards the back of the field because it hasn't been the best couple of laps to start this race for him. Not too sure what the problem may be. He went fairly well in the first race, to say, with conditions not too dissimilar. So Piers Grange is down there now into 8th place. Tim Swadkin has gone through ahead in 7th. Meantime, up front, Ian Froggatt still leads by 2.2 seconds, but Peter Cook has just done the fastest lap of the race, 54.863, and he's trying to close that gap down now.
Yes, he is. They're already turning their way through the S's, the two leaders then. Peter Cook in second place, chasing after number 44, Ian Froggatt in the lead of the race. They're arriving at Shaw's Corner now. Froggatt is his that leads, Cook second, but going with him, I think, this time is Stuart Day in third position. As through Devil's Elbow comes our race leader, Ian Froggatt. He is now how much ahead of it? 2.9, so the gap has gone out. Froggatt's got the wake-up call. He's now done the best lap of the race, 54.2. He pulled about 7 cents of a second over Pete Cook that time through, so Ian Froggatt stamping his authority on this race.
There goes James McIntyre across the line in 4th place. He is now being caught by Ashley Bird in 5th place, so those are both of your class leaders in their respective class. Bird was only 1 second back at the line. He was near enough a second quicker on that lap alone as well. So turning their way on towards Steb Straight once more, with still the black BMW in the hands of James McIntyre just ahead of Ashley Bird. Those two bringing themselves together now. Up the road though, still going very good, is the man in 3rd, showing well in this second race, is the car number 73 in the hands of Stuart Day. And then still up the road in 2nd is Peter Cook and Ian Froggatt, your race leaders. So through they come once again. Now 4 laps completed. What lap times are we going to see this time through? Well, Froggatt, nothing too special. Peter Cook does his personal best lap time, and it's slightly quicker as well than our race leader.
Meanwhile, for 6th position, Tim Swadkin goes through on the inside at Shaw's Corner to take the place away from Andy Robinson and the Fiesta. So the Escort goes through. So Swadkin it is that goes up into 6th position as McIntyre and Bird go through. That time through, it's 7/10 of a second out of McIntyre's advantage, taken away by Ashley Bird, the number 1 car in 5th position. So the reigning champion going well here. He is closing in on that McIntyre car that's in P4.
Again, it's a gap that stays about the same. He's not making too much inroads, is Ashley Bird at the minute. I know he's quicker last time through, but it's kind of the circuit turns in favour of James McIntyre in different parts of this section, and then Ashley Bird, of course, will be favoured in different parts as well. They turn their way through the S's once more. There goes Ian Froggatt, our race leader, across the line. That's now 5 in the book, and this time round, the man in 2nd, Peter Cook, does the fastest lap of the race again, 53.980, bringing the gap down to 2 seconds now between himself and Froggatt. Stuart Day has gone through in 3rd place. Then we'll wait for the next of the guys to come through, which is still James McIntyre, being chased hard by Ashley Bird for the time being. And we're also keeping a very close eye on the 2 cars behind, because Tim Swadkin cannot shake off Andy Robinson in at the minute in that very small Fiesta, but he's pushing on hard, and there goes Tim and Andy in 6th and 7th.
Andrew Sheraton in 12th position has gone a lap down to the 2 race leaders, Ian Froggatt and Pete Cook, who are at the hairpin now. Cook in 2nd position, has a couple more cars to battle his way past, and those are the 2 back markers of Graham and Amanda Ewings. As over the line goes Froggatt to complete another lap, and the gaps has got out quite a long way this time, hasn't it? It was barely 2 seconds. What is it now? It's 6.8, because that was a lap that nearly took a minute for Cook in 2nd place. Stuart Day, therefore, has closed in quite considerably in 3rd place in the Ford Escort Cosworth WRC. And here's this scrap for 4th, through Devil's Elbow now, between McIntyre and Bird, 4th and 5th positions.
Yep, and no change there for the time being, as we've now got just under 9 minutes to go in this second Classic Thunder encounter. Once again, Tim Swadkin comes across the line in the mighty Escort. Once again, a very well prepared car for Tim Swadkin. Shares it, of course, in the other race, the Blue Oval Salute Series, with Andy Pike. Andy Robinson still 7th. 8th place and still struggling at the minute is number 47, which is Piers Grange. 9th place for number 66 as well, who's waiting to come to the line and already been lapped as well, has that car. So Pearman is down there. Here he is across the line. Once again, Ian Froggatt has gone through. This gap is continuing to extend as well between himself and Peter Cook, and Stuart Day there in 3rd place with lights ablaze.
Good to hear of more people watching the live coverage online of this Auto Glim Classic Festival. Hello to Martin Galpin, the 2007 Formula V champion, who's just let us know that he's tuned in. We have another 8 minutes to go in this race. Still, it's Froggatt from Cook and Day and McIntyre, Ure and Bird. That is your top 5. The closest battle is still that battle of 4th and 5th, isn't it? That's between McIntyre and Bird. There's Tim Swadkin. Oh, and off goes the 44 car. The race leader is off. He noses into the barriers at Shaw's Corner. Now, can he get this going again? I think he's lost enough time, therefore, to have lost the lead. Yes, there goes the new race leader, number 38. Pete Cook takes the lead of the race then, because Ian Froggatt, I presume, has just misjudged his braking point at Shaw's Corner, and he's out. Well, he's not out of the race, but he's out of the race lead. He's still going to hold on to 3rd position, I think. The new leader then is Pete Cook, and it's Stuart Day up to 2nd, with Ian Froggatt now 3rd.
Yeah, and he nearly took our cameraman with him there as well, but Ian Froggatt rejoins the circuit down in 3rd. Now this is going to make it interesting, because we know Ian Froggatt is quick. Without any more mistakes taken into account, he could now try and fight his way back through. He came across the line 7.3 seconds back of Stuart Day and Peter Cook, well, mainly Peter Cook, and he was a further 3.8 back of Stuart Day. So keep an eye now on number 44, Ian Froggatt. He is there back in recovery mode. 4th place is still James McIntyre. Only 0.6 of a second ahead, I have to say, of Ashley Bird. They continue their fight through Gerrards now and on towards Stebby Straight, with back markers to deal with, that being Amanda Ewins.
Okay, so we have 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go of this race. Ashley Bird battling his way past those two back-marking BMWs, and it's a bit unfair to call them back-markers because they're setting quite a decent pace, really, within their own class. And indeed, it's Amanda Ewings that is leading that class, from Graham Ewings and Mike Sheraton, but they are now, I think they've gone 2 laps down effectively, haven't they? Ian Froggatt goes through. He's not been able to close the gap on the 2 leaders that time. He has lost about 1.8 seconds to Stuart Day ahead of him, as he was probably just getting back up to speed at the start of that lap. But Ian Froggatt in the last 6 minutes of this race has a lot of work to do to catch the 2 leaders. Meanwhile, let's watch this, because I reckon Stuart Day is catching Pete Cook.
You are right, Ian, because the gap that time through came down by 0.2 of a second. I know in terms of what the gap is, it's not a lot, but definitely the gap is coming down between those two. And with Ian Froggatt not far behind as well, he could be the next man. There's damage on Ian's car as well after that contact, which is no real surprise. So the front splitter on the Subaru turning its way through the hairpin is going to affect that car slightly, I have to say. So Peter Cook across the line once more. So 10 laps now completed, 5.5 minutes to go. What is the gap this time between 1st and 2nd? It was around 3 seconds. It stays around 3 seconds, and a little bit more time lost that time through by Stuart Day.
5 minutes to go then. So it's Cook 3.6 seconds clear of Day, who's 4.2 seconds clear of Froggatt. So Froggatt did make a bit of inroads on both of them that time. He did a 55.5 compared to a 56.9 for Day and a 56.6 for Cook. So that's how that's shaping up. But James McIntyre, who's now in 4th position, has just done his best lap of the race at 57.3, but he's still slower than the 3 cars ahead of him.
It's interesting how 2 races can be so different, because Piers Grange, remember, finished on the podium in race 1. He's just been lapped by our race leader down there in 8th place at the minute, is Piers. So fortune's turning on that head for that car and that driver at the minute, and he continues to slow through Devil's Elbow as Peter Cook goes up towards the line now. Still Stuart Day trying to close that gap. It's a gap that extends once more, this time to 4.2 seconds. With Ian Froggatt going through in 3rd place. He is also slower than the 2 leaders as well, so the gap's now starting to eke out the other way.
4 minutes 20 seconds to go. A bit of green on the timing screen, mostly towards the bottom end. Andy Pearman in the number 66 Sierra Cosworth, he's gone faster on his last lap, and so too have the Ewings, Graham and Amanda. We're watching those two now. It's Amanda ahead in the BMW Art liveried car of number 37, which is Graham Ewings, of course. Andy Robinson there it is though, in 7th place, making his way through shot. Over the line he goes to start what will be his 12th lap of the race. Ex-Hot Hatch racer, has a long commute. Most race meetings is based up in Cramlington in Northumberland. Meanwhile, race leader has gone through, Peter Cook. He's done a 56.2 that time. Stuart Day does a 56.3, so the gap stays more or less as it was at 4.3 seconds. And Ian Froggatt is further back than he was, I reckon. Over the line he goes. What's his lap time? It's a 1:04, so he's had another nasty, and he's dropped further back now. He's 13 seconds adrift of Stuart Day. It's Pete Cook that still leads.
Yeah, so looking at the order at the minute, it looks pretty much set in stone unless there's anything big changes the order, but Peter Cook on his way to the first victory of the day for himself, because it was Mark Biggers who was a non-starter in this one. So Mark Biggers, shame not to see the Nissan Skyline out in this one, and it will in fact be Peter Cook's first win of the year in the Classic Thunder Championship. So still going his way at the minute with that gap now 4.3 seconds between himself and Stuart Day. Another lap to be reeled off and more lappery to do. First of those being Graham Ewan, so he now goes, by the looks of it, 3 laps down. And also on the list will be Andy Pearman just up the road. So they continue their way through. The gap between the front goes from 4.5 to 5.8 seconds. More time taken out by Peter Cook then. And then we wait for Ian Froggatt, who now puts the lap on the Piers Grange car as he goes across the line. And then we continue to keep an eye on 4th and 5th. Andy Robinson, though, has dropped off quite a bit there. Have we lost Andy somewhere?
Andy Robinson, where are you? Yes, there you are, going through the S's up towards Shaw's Corner. So he's still there in 6th place. Ashley Bird. Has he come through? Yeah, he's not come through the last couple of laps, has he? So we lost Ashley Bird. Did we work out where he'd gone? No, we missed that one. So Ashley Bird has dropped out of the race a couple of laps ago. He was in 6th position, but his demise has promoted Andy Robinson's back into P6. He still leads his class, of course. Meanwhile, Ian Froggatt doing his best to get back on terms with the top 2, but he's a long, long way back now. Already the top 2 have gone through to complete lap number 14, and Ian Froggatt only now peering through Devil's Elbow. So Froggatt stands no chance of winning this race, barring some kind of bizarre occurrence up front.
Yeah, just looking at the time and what we've got left, it should be the penultimate lap we're on now for Peter Cook, just turning his way down towards the S's as James McIntyre goes across the line. Still there in 4th place, and it's going to be set for a class win for himself as well in this race number 2. So Peter Cook up towards the hairpin he turns. There's Stuart Day in 2nd place, just coming through the S's now, and once again falling back. It's going to be over 10 seconds, I reckon, this time through. It was near enough 8 seconds previous time round. And then Ian Froggatt is also a man who's just heading that way now towards the Shaw's hairpin for what should be his penultimate time. Peter Cook goes across the line. Yep, less than the lap time to go, but was the last lap board out for the marshals? Should well be.
Yeah, we can't actually see it from our position, but yes, we can see it on our screen. Last lap board is out. Stuart Day has seen that he's now 10 seconds or so adrift of the race leader Pete Cook. There goes Ian Froggatt just lapping Amanda Ewings there. Oh, someone was pulling off, and I didn't see who that was. It's the car that's pulled off into the back entrance to the paddock, I think.
Piers Grange.
Well, he was having a miserable race anyway. He was in 7th position, he was a lap down, and now he's out of the race. So here comes Pete Cook.
No, it's not, sorry.
No, he's gone through, so misinformed by my co-commentator there. But there was a car pulling off.
Is it James McIntyre?
Yes, it could be. That would make sense with the colour of the car. But meanwhile, Peter Cook is coming through, and he is about to take the checkered flag. But 2nd place goes the way, or will go the way, of Stuart Day. But that's quite significant because McIntyre was the driver in the lead of the championship, and he's just had a retirement from this race. So it's Day that eventually comes through to take 2nd place, 11.8 seconds behind the leader. Ian Froggatt coming through in 3rd position, but the championship leader there pulling off at the back of the circuit with only a lap or so of the race to go, with a mechanical problem, one would think. Coming through there, the Ewings, Amanda and Graham in 9th and 10th places, and next through is Piers Grange. He does finish in 6th in the end, with the demise of McIntyre. The car's on several different laps, it's a bit difficult to follow. The next car through to complete his race is Andy Pearman. He's in 8th, goes up to 7th position, ahead of McIntyre, of course. The Ewings will shuffle up to 8th and 9th. and Andy Cheverton will be 10th, with the last car now having come through, that being the car of Tim Swodkin, who finished in 4th position in the end. So a little bit of a confusing finish to that race with the demise of James McIntyre. Meanwhile, the top 3 drivers already on their way down at victory lane, and they'll talk very shortly with Matt Suckling just as soon as he gets downstairs. So very interesting race that, with the leader Ian Froggatt going straight on at Shaw's Corner on lap 8 of the race, so around about half distance, and that meant Peter Cook went through and Stuart Day. I think Ian Froggatt had another moment a bit later on, and that meant that he couldn't get back on terms with our winners. So, still 2 more races to come this afternoon at Mallory Park to round off the Auto Glim Classic Festival. We'll very shortly have the Auto Glim 383 touring cars and the Alfa Romeo Owners Club race, but these are the results then of the race that we've just seen. Peter Cook it was that took the win by 11.9 seconds from Stuart Day, with Ian Froggatt after that misdemeanour up at Shaw's Corner coming through in 3rd position. Tim Swodkin was 4th, Andy Robinson was 5th, and Piers Grange completed the top 6. The fastest lap of the race was set on lap 5, and that went to Pete Cook on a 53.5. So from the Classic Thunder, we'll turn our attention now to race number 19 on the programme. It's the Auto Glim Prix 83 Touring Car Championship. You can find the entry list for this on page 22 of your programmes. And the changes to be made here are an addition in Class C, number 8, Tony Gorman in the BMW 2002, 8 Tony Gorman, BMW 2002, car 142 and 143 in classes C and D respectively. They both moved to the invitation class, which is denoted as Class X. So 142 and 143 both go into Class X, but that's all we've got time for the moment. We can hear Matt Suckling down in the interview room.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ian. We've got our top 3 once again in the interview room, and we've got Pete Kirk taking victory this time round. Pete, second time I spoke to you today, what were you thinking when you saw Ian make that mistake?
Well, he made a mistake. I thought that's fantastic. When he went past me at Gerrard, I thought he's had his brave pills today. Yeah, but superb. Yeah, I just went. Stuart was pushing me, so on the straights I nailed it. In the corners I just took it steady because it was greasy. Then it was drying out. Then it was greasy at some parts. So I just take it steady and win the race.
Yeah, all in all, a consistent weekend for yourself, which is always good.
Yeah, well chuffed. Yeah, never expected to get a first or a second this weekend. First time at Mallory Park. So real pleased.
A sterling job, well done Pete on that one. Second place to Stuart Day. Stuart, great to see you on the podium. Talk us through your race there.
Well, the first race was a bit of a nightmare. I had a bit of a spin, had trouble getting traction, and then the wet just played off for me really. I'm the only rear-wheel drive car against these 2 4-wheel drives. Kept pushing Pete and kept catching and held it off. Luckily, Ian came off and outbraked himself.
Well on second, great to see, as I said, out on the podium. And Ian, where do I start first off? Shall I mention that mistake down to the hairpin?
Yeah, what a mess, eh? Just making it hard work for myself. Got it in the bag, and just outbrake myself, and of course once you've missed your braking point, I just couldn't stop it. Tried to handbrake it round on grass, and it just kept going straight, and I thought, well, I can't see bumper or anything hanging off, I'll have another go, and then I spun again. So don't make it easy, do it?
You certainly don't. There was split damage to your car. We thought you were kind of bringing that gap down, but then in the end time ran out and it wasn't going to be enough, was it?
Yeah, 20-minute race would have been nice, wouldn't it? I might have grabbed second, but my own fault, made a mess of it. Try again another day.
That's it. Nonetheless, it's a third place in the podium position for Ian Froggatt there. Well done, guys. Hop outside for your trophies from Peter Edwards. So third place to Ian Froggatt, second place to our race winner was Peter Cook after a great drive in the Mitsubishi Evo. For now, though, I think we're ready for the penultimate race of the day. Once again, upstairs to Ian Stoneman.
Thank you very much, Matt. We certainly are, because the cars are already out onto the grid for race number 19 on the programme, the Auto Glim Prix 83 Touring Car Championship. They line up in this order, based on the finishing order for race 1. On the front row, 76 and 4. 76 is Neil Bray, and 4 is Tim Scott Andrews. On the second row, 142 and 8. 142, Jason Christie, and 8, Tony Gorman. On the third row, 2 and 49. 2, John Wright, and 49, Mark Osborne. On the 4th row, 80 and 14. 80 George Young, 14 Tony Crudgington has gone home though. I saw his car trailers earlier on. On the 5th row, 89 and 28. 89 Mark Best and 28 Francis Butcher. On the 6th row, 50 and 74. 50 is Peter Holton and 74 is Jeremy Knight. On the 7th row, 32 and 70. 32 Nick Strong and 70 Phil Waller. On the 8th row, 143 and 26. 143 is James Christie and 26 is Alan Wayman. On the 9th row, 90 and 94. 90 is Gary Fletcher, 94 is Stephen Bryant. On the 10th row, 81 and 48. 81 is Paul Young, but 48 Mike Haynes is not there. And on the 11th and final row, we have number 3, Riordan Welby, who was a retirement from earlier on when he was challenging for the lead of the race. So it'll be very interesting to see how he can progress in this Rover Vitesse in difficult conditions, not as wet as they were for the earlier race, but nevertheless a little bit greasy. Let's see what he can do. Give you the result of the Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car race a little bit later on, but for the moment we're into the starting procedure for this pre-83 Touring Car Championship race, backed by Auto Glim. It's another 15-minute race, of course. Championship being led coming into this weekend, as we have said, by Neil Bray, who's on pole position and gets a good start as the lights go out, and straight into second place goes the number 142 Escort of Jason Christie, ahead of the big Rover Vitesse of Tim Scott Andrews, which will be a bit of a handful in these conditions, I should think. At the back of the grid, Riordan Welby, I think he's taking it carefully for the first few corners. He's got quite a bit of power under his right foot and doesn't necessarily want to unleash it just yet with some potentially slower cars ahead of him. But look at the lead that Neil Bray has as they head down the straight for the first time. It's Jason Christie in second place. In third position it looks to be the Triumph Dolomite Sprint of Mark Osborne, and Tim Scott Andrews from the front row has dropped back to fourth position. So up to Shaw's Corner for the first time then. There's a big field of cars. I think we still have 19 cars out there, despite the retirements from the earlier race and those drivers not able to take up their grid positions this time. It is Neil Bray that has the lead then in car 76. In second place is Jason Christie. Third is Mark Osborne. In fourth place it is the car of Tim Scott Andrews. In fifth is John White, and sixth it's Tony Gorman in that BMW 2002 that went so well in the earlier race. He got up to fourth, finished fourth in the earlier race, but has dropped back to sixth position here. All 19 cars have made it safely through the first lap, and Riordan Welby made up 2 places, I see there. He's got up to 17th position from the very back of the grid. Down the Stebby Straight they go for the second time. Already Neil Bray turning his way through Lake Esses though. He had a 2.6 second lead over Jason Christie at the beginning of this second lap of the race, but Jason Christie has Mark Osborne not too far behind him. Meanwhile, for 6th and 7th, there's a battle going on as they go up to Shaw's Corner. Is that rather battered looking BMW of Tony Gorman that is side by side with number 80 George Young, the young driver from Worcestershire that tries to go around the outside of Shaw's Corner, but he can't quite make that work. That's the yellow Ford Escort Mark III. So it's Bray that leads at the end of lap 2 then. Second is Christie, third is Osborne, fourth is Tim Scott Andrews, fifth is John Wright, and sixth is Tony Gorman, Matt.
Yep, and this race is another one that could be quite interesting, because with now conditions turning the other way, we're getting some nicer conditions out there. The track is starting to dry, so we could be seeing some of the cars working in towards the end of this race. So we'll keep an eye on that. For now though, Neil Bray is definitely your race leader by 5.8 seconds over Jason Christie. He did the fastest lap of the race the previous time round, 101.175, not yet under that minute mark. Here comes George Young though, looking to make a move on Tony Gorman. Those two cars together as they head down the back straight, and also coming into the mix here is the number 74 car, the Capri, trying to make a move as well in towards the S's, and that's Jeremy Knight.
Yes, he is. So a great 3-car battle for 6th position going on here. It's the BMW 2002, the Ford Escort and the Ford Capri as well. They make their way up towards Shaw's Corner then for the second time in this race. Mark Best is there in 9th position in his number 89 Capri, as well as Neil Bray has gone through again. I think he might have extended the advantage still further over Jason Christie. Yes, he has, to 7.4 seconds now. Well, I should think that Neil Bray has been pretty pleased with the conditions that he's been faced with for most of the day. They've certainly played out somewhat in his favour, haven't they, compared to what he might have done in the dry.
Yep, and then just behind that in third place we've got Mark Osborne now, who's got that very big Rover Vitesse trying to put all that pressure on. It's going to go to the outside line in the hands of Tim Scott Andrews, and he's going to get it done before they hit the anchors at the S's. So Tim Scott Andrews now dives his way through into third place. It's a good move there. Mark Osborne again gets out of shape and he's going to probably pull into the back entrance. No, he's not. He's just going a bit slow. Tim Scott Andrews loses it though. On the exit, he's going to hit the barrier pretty hard as well. So Tim Scott Andrews trying a bit too much. He may have been a little bit too quick into the S's, which aided him to get past Mark Osborne, but then of course it meant he ended on the grass and in the barrier.
Yeah, Mark Osborne has continued amidst all of that. The other Rover, which is probably going to take over the mantle as top Rover in this race, Bjorn from Welby, was up to 13th position at the end of the third lap of the race, and Tim Scott Andrews is out of his car, I can see. He's up against the fence there as a slow car. Mark Osborne pulling into the pit. So Mark Osborne into the pits. We thought he might have had a problem, and so it has proved. Mark Osborne is out of the race, car number 49, from 4th position.
Yep, so that's a shame for that car that's in the pit lane now, as we continue to keep an eye on this battle that's going on. Tony Gorman heading it at the minute. We've got George Young in there as well, turning their way on towards Steb Straight. We've got the mighty Capri as well of Jeremy Knight pushing on hard, and also coming into the mix now is going to be the number 89 Capri of Mark Best. So these four cars, here comes Jeremy Knight though, on the inside line of George Young into, I think, the yellow flag zone down at the S's, so he's going to have to keep an eye on that, and a red flag as well. So with that, Rover Vitesse very close to the edge of the circuit. It's going to bring a slight hold to this race, with red flags coming out and Neil Bray just going through there to see that.
Yeah, so the race being stopped. I'm not tremendously surprised by that, because Tim Scott Andrews' car is a big old machine. It's broadside across the grass on the left hand side of the track on the run up to Shaw's Corner from the Lake Esses, and I should think that with no way for the marshals to try and move that, not really sufficient gaps in the traffic around this quite short lap, then the best thing to do was to stop the race, and hopefully they'll restart it again shortly. We've still got around about 9 3/4 minutes to go when the red flags went out, so I should think we'll get a restart maybe over 8 minutes or something. We'll get confirmation of that in a moment, and it will be from a new grid as well. I guess bad news for Neil Bray really, because he'd pulled out an 8-second lead, and as you said, Matt, the conditions are getting dry all the time. That is going to play into the hands of some of his rivals.
Yeah, and you've got to look now towards the second of the Rovers, which is Reardon Welby. So he's going to be a little bit higher up the order than when we started this race. He's up to 10th place already. So if he starts the race, this restarted race from there, he's going to be a big factor as well after not having the best of the first races. So that'll bring him into the mix. And then these Capris as well. They have very fast cars. They don't handle that well in the wet conditions. But as we know, with track conditions turning in the favour of them, it really could be an interesting race now. Neil Bray wouldn't have wanted to see that red flag just like that. So that's going to be a one to watch out for. Neil Bray has actually gone through, so he's going to be coming back to the grid, and he'll head it as a realign the grid from the marshals.
Yeah, and it's going to be a 10-minute restart in actual fact, so a 10-minute restarted race. What's going to happen about the grid? That's the question that we're waiting. I'm sure the timekeepers, TSL, are dealing with that at the moment, and they'll give us a new grid, and the cars will be shuffled into the right order. In the meantime, let me give you some more results. This is the result of race number 17 on the programme, as it was the Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship. You can find this grid on page, or find the results for this race on page 18 of your programmes. If you would like to fill in the result there, then you can do. The win went to number 27, Jim Burrows. Second was number 1, Phil Manser. Third, number 77, Richard Sprigg. Fourth, number 56, Keith Padmore. Fifth, number 2, Julian Crossley. Sixth, number 52, Paul Clayton. Seventh, number 68, Keith Wright. Eighth, number 22, Tony Preston. Ninth, number 83, Tim Dodwell. And 10th was number 69, Luke Wilson. So that was 27, 1, 77, 56, 2, 52, 68, 22, 83 and 69. The winner's time for 14 laps was 15 minutes 39.006. 15:39.006 seconds. That's an average speed of 72.45 miles per hour. 72.45 miles per hour. Fastest lap of the race went to number 27, Jim Burrows, who took the race win. Time of 1 minute 4.909 seconds. 1 minute 4 0.909 seconds. That's an average speed of 74.87 miles per hour. 74.87 miles an hour, the average speed by Jim Burrows on his fastest lap in that Thermex Classic Saloon and Historic Touring Car Championship race, which was race 17. If we get any more results, we shall give those to you as soon as we can, but for the moment, a hiatus. 8 minutes now being shown on the TSL time screen, so it is going to be an 8-minute restart rather than 10, based on what's on our timing screen now. So this penultimate race of the day here at Mallory Park for the Autoglim Classic Festival, and this of course the Autoglim sponsored Pre-83 Touring Car Championship, which is in its own right the amalgamation of the Post-Historic Touring Car Championship for pre-1974 cars and the Classic Group 1 Touring Car Championship for pre-83 touring cars as well. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed the action here this weekend at Mallory Park, then head over to Snetterton on August the 31st and September the 1st for the Citroen 2CV 24-hour race, with support races being provided by the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. I think all of the championships, the Classic Touring Car Racing Club's portfolio of championships that you've seen here this weekend will be on show there, so that's certainly something to look forward to. August the 31st, September the 1st at Snetterton, and their season concludes at Silverstone in October, having had a visit as well to Croft in the second half of September. So 8 minutes will be the time for the restart. Now, the one thing that we need to do is work out where our race leader has gone, Neil Bray, because he's nowhere to be seen, is he? He's not out on the grid anywhere. Now there he is. He's being sent around the circuit. Now is he going to take up his pole position? Where's he going to go? So yes, he's being directed through the oval link, and he will take up his pole position, one would think, in just a few moments' time. So here we are at Mallory Park with this live streaming on the internet. Very good afternoon to you if you're watching us online. Very good to have you with us wherever you may be. We're looking forward to an 8-minute restart of this Autoglim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship, and although we've had quite a lot of rain here at Mallory Park this afternoon, it is quite a warm afternoon still. You can see the drivers, many of them with their doors open. John Rice in his number 2 Ford Escort flapping the door backwards and forwards to try and generate a bit of breeze into the cockpit of his car, just to try and keep himself cool. Of course, the drivers have to be properly suited and booted to go racing. They'll have to wear fireproof underwear underneath a fireproof race suit as well. So once you've got your fireproof balaclava and your helmet on, it can get a little bit sticky and sweaty inside there on a humid day such as this here at Mallory Park. So many of the drivers having opted to get their doors open. Still no movement down on the grid, so still Neil Bray in his number 76 Fiesta, which was leading the race by more than 8 seconds when the red flags came out. He's still sitting at the back of the grid, but we're expecting that car to be repositioned towards the front of the grid, well, right to the front of the grid, once the race gets back underway, which it should do very shortly, for an 8-minute encounter. And now he's just reversing. I think he's going to be signalled to make his way up to the front of the grid. Start line marshals now moving out. I think they've been given the information on the grid to get every car moved into its correct position. Some of the drivers now close their doors. Headlamps on for Jason Christie, and yes, let the pointing and guiding and marshalling into position commence. Neil Bray is being sent up the left hand side of the grid. He'll squeeze through to take up his pole position. One of the marshals there having a quick word with him just to make sure he knows what he's doing. Thank you very much. Some more results have been delivered to us. I think one amendment to race 16, which I'll tell you about. This was the YourRiderShop.com MR2 Racing Series with the PC Buy It Hyundai Coupe Cup. Page 16 is where you'll find the results for this. The amendment is that car number 6 has been given a 5-second penalty. That's Richard Avery, so it moves him down from 6th to 7th position. So I'll read you the top 10 now, and it goes like this. 43 was first, second number 13, third number 5, fourth number 69, fifth number 87, sixth number 22, seventh number 6, eighth number 41, ninth number 27, and 10th number 64. And that was a 5-second penalty to Richard Avery for gaining an unfair advantage. And race 18, which was the PerformanceCars.com Classic Thunder Championship. Results for that one. Race 18 of the programmes, which you can fill in on page 20 of your programmes. First was number 38, Peter Cook. Second, number 73, Stuart Day. Third, number 44, Ian Froggatt. Fourth, number 157, Tim Swatkin. Fifth, number 6, Andy Robinson. Sixth, number 47, Piers Grange. Seventh, number 66, Andy Pearman. Eighth, number 64, Amanda Ewings. Ninth, number 37, Graham Ewings. And 10th, number 56, Andrew Sheraton. That was 38, 73, 44, 157, 6, 47, 66, 64, 37 and 56. The winner's time for 16 laps of 15 minutes 1.812 seconds. 15 minutes 1.812 seconds. That's an average speed of 86.22 miles per hour. 86.22 miles per hour. Fastest lap of the race went to Peter Cook, number 38, 53.980 seconds. 53.980 seconds. That's an average speed of 90.03 miles per hour. 90.03 miles per hour. Back to the race in hand though. It's the Auto Glim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship. It's a 10-minute race again. It's gone back up. 5-second board has gone up. The red lights have gone out and the race is underway. And again, it's a good start by Neil Bray, but a good start also from John Wright in his Escort. And the first three cars are side by side as they head down towards Gerrard's Bend for the first time. Is it going to be Jason Christie or John Wright that gets turned into Gerrard's Bend first? They are still absolutely side by side for the lead of the race. Just nosing ahead now is John Wright in the red and gold coloured car, but Jason Christie has the inside line and Neil Bray is not too far behind in third place. He gets past Jason Christie now. He gets up to second place, does Neil Bray, but Christie's still with him on the outside line as they go into the S's for the first time. And it's just Bray that goes through, so it's right from Bray from Christie, and it is Riordan Welby that's up into 4th position, is it?
Yeah, from 10th on the grid, so Riordan has done a great job so far. I said these bigger cars would come through to the field now, and they've done exactly that so far, so we'll see what Riordan can do in the Rover test, just turning for the first time in this restarted race down through Shaw's hairpin. Meantime up front though, as Al Wayman tries to go down the inside of Tony Gorman, that's not quite going to work there for him. Yeah, up front though, John Wright does lead just about ahead of Neil Bray. Third place is then Jason Christie across the line, and there goes Riordan Welby in 4th place, and 5th place is that of Jeremy Knight.
And round the outside at Gerrard's Bend goes Neil Bray for the lead of this race. He's overlapping with the Escort now of John Wright, but he's gone through, and a brilliant move that from Neil Bray to take the lead of the race. Meanwhile, just in the background there, we saw a big sideways moment for Jason Christie. Look how he slides that car around on the exit of Gerrard's Bend, but it's not helping him much, I don't think, because Riordan Welby is now right with him as they head towards Lake Esses for the second time.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to make the move through the S's, but definitely up towards Shaw's hairpin. He should be trying to think about a move there, as once again Jason Christie gets sideways through the corner, the back end stepping out every chance it gets, and now down towards the hairpin. It is a very big lead, it seems, for Neil Bray. He's ahead of John Wright there in the Escort, the number 2 car, and once again Riordan Welby can't find a way through at the minute, but he's definitely going to press now. We've got time in this race to certainly shake up the order. Just under 8 minutes to go as Neil Bray comes through to lead lap number 2 now, and the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute flat, 0.721 for himself. He leads John Wright by 2.3 seconds down towards Gerrard's.
Okay, so Bray 2.3 seconds ahead of Wright, as you say, but then it's 1.8 seconds back to Jason Christie in 3rd place. But what about Riordan Welby in that Rover Vitesse, the surviving Rover Vitesse after the demise of Tim Scott Andrews in the first part of that race? Well, he's right with Jason Christie now. There's an escort length between them, or half a Rover Vitesse length, whichever way you look at it, as they make their way down the straight. And Welby has a look down the inside here of Jason Christie. They are absolutely alongside. They're firstly rubbing body panels there as they go through the first part and now the second part of the S's. And Welby, I think, has had to give best to Jason Christie. Yes, he has. So as they arrive at Shaw's Corner, it's Christie still third.
And he's starting to defend very hard indeed now, because he's got to do that, because the man behind Reardon Welby, is putting that pressure on. He can't still find that way through. 7 minutes just under to go now. Neil Bray still leading this one. Second, third and fourth getting close together. A tank slapper nearly there for the man in third place, Jason Christie, and that's going to hamper his run down towards Gerrard's as the mighty Rover gets back into speed on the race now head. What can Reardon Welby do here? Does he go through for the outside line, or does he hold it tight? He's going to go all the way round, it seems, here as they head on towards Steb Straight. Again, they're going to be side by side, and now the power is going to be unleashed by the Rover Vitesse in the hands of Reardon Welby, and he may even snatch second place away from John Wright. On towards the straight they go. He goes one way, he goes the other, and yes, he's going to be second place, so he's made the move stick down towards the S's. They now head second, third and fourth. Changes slightly with Reardon Welby from the back to the front of it now.
Okay, so Welby it is up to second place. There's still 6 minutes to go in this race. 4 seconds behind at the beginning of the lap was Welby, or a spinner into the barriers at the S's. That's number 70. That's Phil Waller. He was in 9th position, and Phil Waller from the invitation class in his Ford Maverick has had a spin. He is back on the circuit again, though. He just noses into that fairly gently, so he'll be able to resume the race. Bray leads at the end of lap 4 by 5 seconds. There's still 5.5 minutes to go in this race. Let's see what Reardon Welby can do about the leader. It's John Wright 3rd, Jason Christie 4th, Jeremy Knight 5th, George Young is 6th. Tony Gorman, having gone well in the first part of the race, is down in 9th position in the BMW.
Now we saw the Anglias earlier getting sideways. It's now the turn of the Escorts to do exactly the same. Jason Christie right under the rear of John Wright at the minute as they head down Steb Straight. Behind that as well, George Young is trying to put the pressure on one of the Capris by the looks of it. So George Young, what can he do here? He's on the back of Jeremy Knight. Those two tied together by a very short piece of string as they head through the Lake Esses on towards the hairpin. They now turn. Just up the road from them is this battle over third place. The final step on the podium, still headed by John Wright ahead of Jason Christie. Then we look once again back to the Capri of Jeremy Knight, still being hassled all the time by George Young as Neil Bray comes through again. 5 laps completed. How much has the Reardon Welby taken out?
This time through he's taken 6 tenths out. The gap is down to 4.4 seconds. On the previous lap, Welby was the only driver to set his personal best lap time. This time through, some of the other drivers behind him have done so, but he was faster than Neil Bray that time, so Welby is narrowing the gap slowly but surely to the race leader, possibly to show slowly and surely to be there by the end of the race, which is only now 4 minutes and 17 seconds away. Third place still John Wright, fourth place is still Jason Christie, and look at this side by side further back, that's over the line. For 14th and 15th position, it's Nick Strong ahead of the Vauxhall Group Snoop Forenza of number 90, and that is the car of Gary Fletcher from Saffron Walton.
So once again, the gap narrows between third and fourth places. John Wright on the inside of the hairpin. Jason Christie trying to go the long way round. It's not really going to work there. You need to be as tight as possible to the raised hairpin. Behind that, Jeremy Knight and George Young. Still George putting the pressure on as much as possible. Down through Devil's Elbow, they'll now turn. We're still up the road, John Wright and Jason Christie. Nothing to separate them whatsoever. You can't even fit a Ford Escort between the two of them. And hard on the brakes they go down towards Gerrard's. Jason Christie again goes towards the outside line. That's where he continues to carry the most speed in his Escort. But John Wright is doing a great defensive drive so far. Now is this when the second of the Escorts is going to be unleashed across the line there. Tony Gorman having a good scrap as well.
That was with James Christie in the Hillman Avenger. And that might be Tony Gorman about to lose his 9th position up at Gerrard's Bend. Yes, the Orange Avenger has gone through, and that means that Christie, the Gorman now is shortly going to come under pressure, possibly from Al Wayman in the Chevrolet Camaro as well, which is making its way out of Gerrard's Bend now, down the Stevie Straight. So that's a battle well worth keeping an eye on as this race develops. There's also a good Clio scrap, isn't there? And that's for 7th and 8th place, turning through the S's now. That's between Malk Best and Francis Butcher as Reardon Welby goes over the line. That time through he's taken another 6 tenths out of Bray. The gap is 4.3 seconds, but there's only 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit too late for Reardon Welby to do anything about Neil Bray, who's been on top form so far today here at Mallory Park, and he looks set to take another win in this pre-83 Touring Car Championship race. Jeremy Knight and the second of the Capri's going through, which is in the hand of Malk Best. So those two have gone across the line, and
Tony Gorman slows. Tony Gorman into the pit lane from 10th position, I think it was, and he is a retirement from the race now. He was 4th in the earlier race. He was in 9th position really all the way throughout that race, and dropped to 10th place behind the Avenger at the beginning of lap 7, but now he's out of the race. Meanwhile, still side by side for 3rd position up at the hairpin.
Yep, and Jason Christie is the man who's still trying to challenge on the back of John Wright. Neil Bray goes across the line now, 2 laps to go with a minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. Here comes Reardon Welby across the line, that time through again, only a 10th taken out. The gap remains at 4.3 seconds. There goes John Wright, Jason Christie across the stripe down towards Gerard State Term. The next battle to look at on track is just behind, because Jeremy Knight and George Young continue to run nose to tail, and George Young, time running out for himself as well. He's got to try and find the line past Jeremy Knight. It's not happening at the minute, so he continues to press on and continues to run in 6th place.
Okay, so I think we're going to get probably one more lap to go at the end of this one, because there's only now 1 minute of this race to go as Neil Bray arrives at Shaw's Corner for the 9th time in what will probably be a 10-lap race therefore. Reardon Welby, well, he's still there in 2nd position, but he's not close enough to challenge. Maybe if it had been a 15-minute race, he might have made it, but 10 minutes is not going to have been enough for him. Good battle going over the line. That's Gary Fletcher and the number 94 Alfa Romeo, which is Stephen Bright, the Exeter driver in his Alfa Sud 1500cc car. But Neil Bray now has gone on to the final lap of the race. He's just done the best lap of the race, a 1 minute 0.541, 60.541 seconds. He's extended his lead over Reardon Welby to 5.2 seconds, and he's got 3/4 of a lap to go.
Yep, and for Jason Christie, it's going to be his final tour of Mallory Park to try and make a move on John Wright for the final step on the podium. It's as close as it's been so far as he turns on the exit of turn number 1 on towards Step Straight. They'll now go. Can Jason Christie get the run onto the tail of John Wright? He's trying to pull alongside as they head for the final time down Step Straight in towards the yes as they go. And again, John Wright has just pulled out enough of a margin to hold on to this 3rd place at the minute in towards the S's. Our turn up towards Shaw's hairpin has now gone, and Neil Bray for his final time, and we'll see him back into sight at Devil's Elbow and very shortly to take the checker flag.
Yep, the Ford Maverick of Phil Waller. It goes on to his final lap, but here comes Neil Bray, a 2nd win of the day in the Auto Glim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship. Well, at the restart of the race, it possibly didn't look like it was going to happen, but up at Shaw's Corner now, this battle for 5th and 6th place still to be decided between Jeremy Knight and George Young. 2nd place Reardon Welby has come through, so has John Wright in 3rd and Jason Christie in 4th. It looks like it's going to be Jeremy Knight that's going to hold on in 5th position in his Capri, just ahead of George Young in 6th in car number 80. Over the line they go now, separated in the end only by 15/100ths of a second. 7th place is going to go the way of Malk Best in his Capri. 8th is the slightly older model Capri of Francis Butcher. 9th is going to go the way of Paul Young in the VW Golf, that's George's dad. And 10th, completing the field, is number 26, Al Wayman in the Chevrolet Camaro. So, Neil Bray taking another very well-deserved win in the Auto Glim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship, and that means now that there's just one more race to go today here at Mallory Park. Results then of the Auto Glim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship race. The win going to Neil Bray, car number 76. He completed 10 laps and he was 5 seconds clear of Reardon Welby's Rover Vitesse at the end, but good progress made by Reardon from the back of the grid on the original start. John Wright completing the top 3. And we'll hear from the top 3 in a moment down there with Matt Suckling, but we're going to turn our attention next to the final race of the weekend, which is the Alfa Romeo Owners Club race. So, and we are about to see those cars come out onto the circuit then for the final race of the weekend. It's been a fantastic weekend of racing here at Mallory Park. I don't think there's been a bad race among them really. Fantastic day here. Just a shame about the weather, because that has spoiled it, I'm sure, for many of you spectators. I think a few people decide to head home a little bit early this afternoon, but in its own way, it provided some really good racing. It's made it a lot more unpredictable, a lot more exciting. It meant some different drivers got in and around the podium place as well. So from that point of view, very good, and it will make good TV, and you can watch it on Motors TV in about 3 weeks' time. Or if you head onto the livestream website, and I'll tweet the link, so if you follow me at 750 Commentator, I'll tweet the link. You should be able to see some of the action online once you get home this evening, if you'd like to have another look at it. Turn our attention then to race number 20, the Alfa Romeo Owners Club race. You can see the entry list for this on page 24. Let me give you the changes to the programme. In Class 4, an addition is number 24. That is Richard Leggett. Richard Leggett, car number 24, in an Alfa Romeo GTV. Alfa Romeo GTV. And in Class 5, change number 16, Ian Daltrey, to number 17. So 16, Ian Daltrey becomes number 17 instead. Those cars will be out on track shortly. First though, let's hear from the top 3 drivers with Matt.
Yeah, thanks very much. And down here in the interview room once again, Neil Bray, can this weekend get any better for you?
It can't get any better, can it? Well, that was brilliant. 2 starts. You know, when they stopped it, I thought, oh no, I've got to go through another start. I managed to get by him. Sort of super day. Not bad for a one-armed bloke, is it really?
Look, on track, it was getting drier, which meant the faster cars were coming.
The cars were coming, I had to push and push and push and push, and the trouble is when it gets to that half wet stage, that's when it's really dangerous and that sort of thing, because you can slide off very quick, but we kept it on the black stuff, so that was good.
Yourself outside, and we'll get a chat with you later on as well. Ridden we make your way over here as well. Great race from yourself, from the back of the grid up to second.
The Rover, yeah.
And with the line drying it, of course, you're getting quicker. But when you saw that red flag, was that kind of one you were hoping for, or not really?
I didn't really think about it too much, but when I sat on the grid, I started thinking, wait, we're all bunched up. I might have a chance here to get on the podium. So that's where I wanted to be, but I didn't figure on Neil being so quick, so I couldn't get him at the end. Too slippy.
But still, Mallory Park, a circuit you like?
Love it, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, really good fun.
Great stuff. Well done, Reardon, on second. And we'll have a word as well with John Wright. John, your first since here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a good race. Jason kept me very honest. The conditions was quite bad, but I think we all got away with it. Very good. It's a bit of a celebration because it was 20 years today since I started racing.
Well done, John. Congratulations on that one. A great drive from yourself there, and John's happy with. So John Wright, and they're in third place. Second place, Reardon Welby, and our race winner there was Neil Bray. So we'll get a word with them for the TVs, of course, which is going out on Motor TV towards the end of the month. For now, though, as Ian said, the final race of the day on what has been a very classic weekend for the Classic Touring Car Festival. I'll hand back upstairs to you.
Thanks, Matt. So let's go through the grid for the final time this weekend. It's going to line up as follows. On the front row, 76 and 3, 76 Tom Shepherd and 3 Richard Drake. On the second row, 92 and 27, 92 Ron Davidson and 27 Ted Pearson. On the third row, 63 and 29, 63 Greg Pye and 29 Richard Merrill. On the fourth row, 64 and 14, 64 Ian Brookfield and 14 Will Dick. On the fifth row, 79 and 17, 79 Dave Messenger and 17 Ian Daltrey. On the sixth row, 57 and 24, 57 Terry Kenyon and 24 Richard Leggett. On the seventh row, 40 and 67, 40 is Stephen Chase and 67 Alan Barron. On the eighth row, 66 and 1, 66 Ross Shaw and 1 Jonathan Griffin. On the ninth row, 91 and 30, 91 is Chris Whelan and 30 Alexander Charles. And on the 10th row, number 78 Mark Dudley. I can see a gap on the fourth row of the grid. Ian Brookfield, car 64, is missing, I'm afraid. Everyone else is there, though, I think, apart from right at the back, the number 78 car of Mark Dudley is missing as well. So we should have 17 cars out there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cars out there for this final race of the weekend, the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Series. Tom Shepherd, it is on pole position then. Hasn't driven this car too much in the wet, he said. Well, it's dried out since the first race, but it's a greasy circuit that he'll face now. Let's hope that Richard Drake has a better race. He outbraked himself at the hairpin and dropped down the order earlier on, but eventually bounced back to take second position. Let's see what he can do in this one, though, as the red lights go on for the final time this weekend at Mallory Park. They go out now. And not a great start from Greg Pye, who I have a sneaking suspicion might have been in reverse gear there, but he's got away now. He's not even lost too much ground. But up at the front of the field, it's Ted Pearson from the outside of the front row of the grid that's got the lead of the race. It looks like Tom Shepherd is slotting into second position, and in third place, I think, could well be the car of Richard Drake. In fact, it's Pearson that's gone up into the lead from the outside of row 2, isn't it, rather than the outside of the front row. So a great start that then from Ted Pearson. He's leading the way with Tom Shepherd second, third for the moment Drake, but he now is coming under pressure from the 29 car of Richard Merrill as they turn their way through the Lake Esses for their first time in this 15-minute race. They're pretty much side by side, those two. Merrill's going to be on the inside line, and he goes through to take third place away from Drake as they turn into Shaw's Corner for the first time. Ron Davidson is there in fifth, then there's a gap back to the sixth position car, which could well be Greg Pye, and I think it is Greg Pye in sixth place. So end of lap 1 then. Pearson leads by 1.4 seconds from Tom Shepherd. Richard Merrill third. Drake is in fourth place. Richard Drake in fifth place, number 92. That's Davidson. And in sixth place it's Greg Pye. Will Dick is seventh. David Messenger eighth. Ian Daltrey ninth. And in 10th place is that number 67 car of Alan Barron. So he's made up 4 places from 14th on the grid. So down the Stebby Straight they go. Ted Pearson being reeled in though for the lead of this race, and it's changing because it's Richard Merrill that goes through. Well, he was third at the beginning of this lap, was Richard Merrill, but he's taken the lead away from Ted Pearson as they make their way through the S's that time. So it's Merrill that now leads. Fantastic effort from that driver who started on the outside of the third row of the grid in his Alfa Giulia. He now leads Ted Pearson, who's dropped back down to second place. I think it's Shepherd there, Tom Shepherd therefore in third position as the field comes through to end their second lap.
Yeah, great race so far to start this final race of the day, and the Alfa Romeo is putting on a great show as always. So up front in this one now, Richard Merrill, number 29, second place Ted Pearson, who had a race one where it kind of dropped off towards the end, but now he's up there in the mix once again and on the podium with race one victor just behind in the terms of Tom Shepherd. Then behind there we've got the number 3 car, which is driven once again by Richard Drake, picked up second in race number 1. So they're all in there at the minute where they should be, and it's providing some great racing. Looking at Ross Shaw as well, where is she up to? 12th place at the minute and still got plenty of time to make more progress.
She has, 12th at the moment. She started the race 15th, so she's made up 3 positions already, and she might possibly like these conditions a little bit more than the ones that she had earlier on. But a great fight going on that she is right in the middle of. Also involved is the 30 car, which is Charles, the 14 car as well, which is Will Dick, and also is the 67 car, which is Alan Barron. So that's the scrap that's going over 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th at the moment, with I think Shaw having made her way up into 11th position. Meanwhile, at the end of lap 3, Richard Merrill has extended his lead over Ted Pearson to 1.8 seconds. He's just done the best lap of the race, 60.747 seconds. Earlier on, the best lap of the race was a 66.166, so that tells you how much the conditions have improved since then. The leaders making their way already in towards the Lake Esses for the second time, but let's watch this battle further down the order. It's got Will Dick at the head of it. He's in 9th place. He's got Alex Charles right behind him in 10th. Then it's Ross Shaw, and then it's that 67 Alan Barron car. Ross Shaw here makes up some ground. She's got a quicker car in a straight line. Can she get all the way in front of Will Dick? Yes, she has. She's taken Dick out of 9th position, and Dick indeed goes down to 11th because following Ross Shaw through has gone there the car of Alex Childs, who was in 10th place.
Yep, so Roz has now made herself heard inside the top 10, so she's on the push once again. The next one up the road looks to be number 17, which is the car of Roger Daltrey. So Roger is going to be pushing on and see what he can get from this. Just up the road as well, Dave Messenger in 7th place, and then further up the road, this great scrap for 3rd place at the minute, which involves Tom Shepherd. Also the number 3 car, which is in the hands once again of Richard Drake, and the man who got on the podium in the first race, and he was delighted with that, the number 92 car of Ron Davidson. So he is there at the minute in 5th place, just heading down the step straight now, but still at the lead of this race by 2.9 seconds, Richard Merrill.
10 minutes to go in this race. Merrill is gradually getting away from the rest of the field, it seems, but it's closing up again for the minor places for 3rd and 4th. The podium position still to be settled here. It's Tom Shepherd and Richard Drake, and as you say, Ron Davidson not too far behind. They make their way past the bus stop chicane now. They're going to drop back down into our view through the Devil's Elbow very shortly indeed. Here they are now, but the top 2 have gone through already, with the gap now at 3.2 seconds between Merrill and Pearson. But the next 3 cars are covered by only by just over half a second. They've got past the back marker as well, which may well have been the Jonathan Griffin car. And the next group comes through as well. For 7th place it's Dave Messenger, but he's got Ian Daltrey and now Ross Shaw right behind as well. That's the group that's turning their way into the right-hand at Gerard's Bend now. So that's a good scrap. There's good scraps wherever you look here. But the one we're watching on screen at the moment is for 3rd position, and that is between Tom Shepherd and Richard Drake.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know who Roger Daltrey is, but it's Ian Daltrey who is the man who's in this race for the Alfa Romeo. So that's the man who's having a good scrap with the likes of Ross Shaw and Alex Childs. I think Alex Childs was trying to make a move to get past Ross Shaw. It didn't quite work off, although Ian Daltrey has now managed to get his way past Dave Messenger. So he's made his way through. Dave Messenger is in the attack of Ross Shaw now, who looks towards the inside line, down towards the Shaw's hairpin. Can she get the move done? No, she's not quite alongside there. Meantime, Alex Childs tries to go all the way around the outside, which may just about work. They're still going to be side by side on the exit of the corner, turning their way down towards the Devil's Elbow, and once again Ross Shaw is the braver of the 2 drivers and turns in ahead and holds on to her place, which is still 9th.
I'll just hand my phone to Matt Sutton, which has got the Wikipedia entry on for Roger Daltrey, but he's not in this race, I can tell you that much. But it's still Merrill that's leading, Pearson by 2.9 seconds, then this gap back of 7 seconds to Shepherd in 3rd place. Then it's Drake 4th, Davidson 5th, and Greg Pye in 6th position. But look at this on our screen now, it's the fight for 9th and 10th position, and it's Alex Charles. Oh, and a spinner, and that's Ian Daltrey, who has a spin right in front of that group of cars and very nearly absolute disaster. But Alex Charles gets back on the circuit. Ross Shaw does, Dave Messenger does, but gets a big tank slapper. Oh my word, that was chaotic. Oh my word. And that was Ian Daltrey's spin out of Gerard's Bend that started all of that. No one hit anybody else though, so everyone's happy. We're on lap 8 of this race with 7.5 minutes to go.
I do know Ian's brother Roger, yeah, he's a member of the Who, isn't he? Yeah, so Roger Daltrey is not in this race as we said, but Ian Daltrey just had a very scary moment in the race, so he's now going to drop down the order. Everyone else managed to avoid it just about, and as the cars once again turn their way through, here comes Ross Shaw. Where has she got up to now? Will be 7th place because she's passed Ian Daltrey, past the likes of Dave Messenger as well, who falls near enough to the back of that train, and also coming through there, Will Dick into 11th. So they'll continue their way down towards Gerard's.
And Dave Messenger, I think, has a problem. I think there's something dragging underneath his car, possibly the exhaust that might have been dislodged as he went over the grass to avoid that Ian Daltrey incident earlier on. But look at this, side by side virtually for 7th and 8th position. They were just about to embark on a massive battle when Ian Daltrey spun in front of them a lap ago, but Ross Shaw and Alex Charles there make their way into the S now, so having a great fight over 7th and 8th position. You've got the Ross Shaw car number 66, the Alfa Romeo GT AM, and also you've got the 30 car, the GT Junior, the 1600cc car of Alex Childs, the driver from Potter's Bar. They're turning their way around Shaw's corner now, and not too far behind them as well. You've got the 67 car of Alan Barron, which is the Alfa Sud Sprint with the Dave Ashford tuned 1.5 litre engine. Those cars coming over the line. With 6 minutes to go of this race, it is still Richard Merrill that leads the way by 4 seconds from Ted Pierce.
And we've got these 3 cars that finished on the podium in race number 1, all still together. They're lower down than they were in the first race, 3rd, 4th and 5th places at the minute. Richard Drake, Tom Shepherd and Ron Davison, and it's Richard Drake who made up the place previous time round to go into that final step on the podium. So can the man now in 4th, Tom Shepherd, fight back to get it back into his grasp? We'll wait and see as the cars come now down through Devil's Elbow.
Yes, and it's Drake ahead of Shepherd, ahead of Davidson. I was just looking at the 91 car, which is a lap down. It's at the back of the field of Coventry driver Chris Whelan. Nicely turned out though, Alfa Giulietta TI. Probably the oldest car on the grid, I would suspect. Meanwhile, this battle for 7th and 8th continues. It's between Ross Shaw and Alex Charles, with Barron just behind them in 9th position, making their way through the Devil's Elbow now, about to cross the line to complete lap number 9. They'll go on to their 10th lap with just under 5 minutes of this race to go. They'll probably get another 5 laps out of it then. So over the line 2 goes the number 40 car. 40 is Stephen Chase in his Alfetta GTV, a Class 4 car, the driver from Thetford, very close to Snetterton Circuit. Meanwhile, for 8th place, we're going to get a change, or for 7th place, I should say, because Alex Charles has brilliantly driven around the outside of Ross Shaw there at Gerrard's Bend. Great move that from Charles, up into 7th place. Ross Shaw goes down to 8th.
Yeah, Ross Shaw has been trying to shake off Alex Charles for quite a while now, but in not doing so, he's finally passed her. So Alex Charles goes up the road. He starts to pull away as well through the Lake Esses. Is he a bit wide into the corner? Nope, he manages to keep all four wheels on the tarmac for the time being. And then we see the fight for third once again intensifying on track, because Richard Drake, with back markers to deal with, is now under the pressure and under the hook from Tom Shepherd. So he is pushing on here, the man who won race number 1. Tom Shepherd delighted with that. Can he get any higher? Well, it's not seeming that way because he can't, can he? Because he finished first, but he's down there at the minute in 4th. He'd be delighted to take away a 2nd podium from the day's action. At the minute though, Richard Drake seems to be the stronger driver, and then there in 5th place is still Ron Davison. This time round, Richard Merrill still leads by 3.5 seconds, but the man in 2nd, Ted Pearson, has just done his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute flat, 0.340.
Over the line comes the race leader, Richard Merrill. Can Pearson close in any further? Yes, he can, because he was 0.6 of a second faster on that lap. The gap is down to just under 3 seconds now between Merrill in the lead in car 29 and Pearson, number 27, in 2nd place. The driver that sometimes races a Ferrari in the Ferrari Formula Classic series as well. Those 2 cars then making their way off Gerrard's Bend now and onto the straight, and I'm sure it's less than 3 seconds visibly as they head down Stebby Straight now into Lake Esses for the 12th time with 3 minutes of this race to go. Ted Pearson is doing his level best to close in on Richard Merrill and get a win that looked like he might get in race 1, I guess, but for a few errors and misdemeanors in what was very difficult conditions in that earlier race. Up at Shaw's Corner now is our race leader Richard Merrill, with Pearson still behind him. The fight for third is continuing to rage though between Richard Drake and Tom Shepherd. Shepherd looking to the right, looks to the left now as they come under braking for Shaw's Corner, but I don't think he's going to be able to drive all the way around the outside, so he follows in line behind Richard Drake. So does Ron Davidson in 5th place, but for the lead it's 1.8 seconds now between Merrill and Pearson, because Pearson's the first driver to go underneath the 1 minute barrier today. 59.567 seconds, and he is closing in on the leader.
Oh yes he is, and down the straight they go. Last time round, Ted Pearson, the traffic seems to work in his favour at the right times, and it may just about work in his favour again, because the man who is in the lead of the race, Richard Merrill, finds his way past in towards the S's, and then Ted Pearson should get the run up towards Lake Esses and find his way past this back marker as well. Meantime, for 3rd place has been a change, because Tom Shepherd has now gone through and Richard Drake has been demoted back into 4th place. Ron Davison also keeping on the tail of these 2 cars. This trio of drivers just turning now through the Lake Esses, the right and left flick. Meantime, race leaders out of the Lake Esses, down towards Devil's Elbow, and this time again, once again to the eye, it looks much closer. It was 1.8 seconds previous time round. This time, is it less than a second? It is by 4 thousandths, 0.996.
Yeah, another 8 tenths taken out of the leader's advantage that time. It was a slower lap, in actual fact, for Ted Pearson than his previous lap, but there was then some traffic to deal with. Here comes this 3rd place scrap. They're lapping the 24 car, which is Richard Leggett's Alfa Romeo GTV, so it's Tom Shepherd that's safely there in 3rd place now. He got that position at Gerrard's Bend a lap ago. But let's watch the leaders. They're turning their way through the Lake Esses for the 14th time. They'll get one more lap to go at the end of this one, so Ted Pearson really needs to strike quite soon if he's going to do so. There's a couple of back markers ahead of the leader. 91 and 40 are the 2 cars involved. 40 is Steve Chase, 91 is Chris Whelan. They're making their way down towards the left-hander at Devil's Elbow now, and the leaders are virtually together here, aren't they, as they come up and over the line. There is it wasn't second. It was 4/10 of a second now between Merrill and Pearson as they go on to the final lap of racing at this Auto Glim Festival.
Yep, last chance saloon then for Ted Pearson in second place. He's now right onto the tail at the right time in this race. What can Richard Merrill do to defend his lead in this one? The clock is very soon to tick to zero, as we know on the last lap of the race. They'll head down the step straight now for the final time. There are a few cars up the road, one of those being Rod Shaw. I think they may just about miss them before the checker flag is waved, but Ted Pearson, a couple more corners to go to try and get past Richard Merrill, but so far in this one Richard has done a grand job of holding on to it. Last time through 4/10 of a second, and I don't think Ted Pearson's got any answer for our race leader.
No, the gap has, if anything, gone out a little bit during the course of this final lap. Up at Shaw's corner for the final time then, Richard Merrill finished the first race in 6th position. I don't think he liked the wet. I think he likes these conditions an awful lot better. Through Devil's Elbow he comes for the final time. The checkered flag is made ready to bring the curtain down on this Auto Glim Classic Festival. It's been a great weekend, and Richard Merrill takes the win by 6/10 of a second from Ted Pearson in the end. Merrill doing the fastest lap of the race on the final lap. Who's going to come through in 3rd place though? Just a bit of a wait to see who it is. He's going to be Tom Shepherd in the number 76 car. He takes 3rd place. Richard Drake is in 4th place, so he can't repeat his podium feat from earlier on. Ron Davidson takes 5th, and then I think it's going to be Greg Pye in the number 63 car that should come home in 6th position. Here's Greg now, over the line he goes in his number 63 car, the Alpha Sud Sprint. Was Shaw still to make her way to the checkered flag though. She had that great fight with Alex Chance, but Alex over the last couple of laps has pulled out a bit of a gap over her. Ian Daltrey goes over the line now, a lap down in the end in 14th position. There goes our 7th place man Alex Chance. Ross Shaw comes home in 8th. 9th goes the way of number 67 Alan Barron, and completing the finishers, a lap down in actual fact, is the 40 car of Steve Chase. So that is all of the racing action completed here at Mallory Park for this Auto Glim Classic Festival. It's been an absolutely tremendous weekend of racing. Matt Suckling has headed downstairs for the final time to grab a word with our top 3 drivers. As you can see on the screen, it was Richard Merrill that took the win by 6/10 of a second from Ted Pearson. A great fight between them. Merrill setting the fastest lap on the last lap of the race as he responded to Pearson's advances, I should say. Tom Shepherd it was that finished the race in 3rd position, having took the win earlier on today. Well, we'll hear in a moment from our top 3. Let me just run you through the restarted results though for race number 19, a race that was red flagged and restarted. Auto Glim Pre-83 Touring Car Championship. You can find the results slot for this on page 22 of your programme, so if you'd like to fill them in there, you can do so. The winner was number 76, Neil Bray. 2nd was number 3, Riordan Welby. 3rd, number 2, John Wright. 4th was 142, Jason Christie. 5th, number 74, Jeremy Knight. 6th, number 80, George Young. 7th, number 89, Mark Best. 8th, number 28, Francis Butcher. 9th, number 81, Paul Young. And 10th was number 26, Alan Wayman. That's 76, 3, 2, 142, 74, 80, 89, 28, 81 and 26. The winner's time for 10 laps was 10 minutes 21.518 seconds. 10 minutes 21.518 seconds. That's an average speed of 78.19 miles per hour. 78.19 miles per hour. The fastest lap of the race. That went to number 76, Neil Bray, the race winner. A time of 1 minute 0.541 of a second. 1 minute 00.541. 80.27 miles per hour. For the final time this weekend, it's down to you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. We've got our top 3 once again. Richard, pop yourself over here. A great way to end the week.
Me towards the end, and I was getting back markers and just really, just hoping that I could hold it together just long enough to get my maiden victory. So no, I'm delighted, very happy.
Pretty tricky out there for you, but the track was starting to dry.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was trying a choice between dry and wet tyres. So I went with the wets, and I think it was just gave me that little edge on traction at the beginning, in particular. Yeah, absolutely. No, I was on wet. So it was. It was great. I really enjoyed it. But to say that, to have back markers, and I could see him closing in behind me. So a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
On the victory there, Ted Pearson, come and have a word with us as well. Ted, you were right towards the end there, pushing all the way. Me and Ian thought you were going to do it, but it wasn't quite long enough there, was it?
No, maybe another couple of laps might have helped, but I did get some help from some back markers to help catch him up. I said to Richard after the race, he drove a fantastic race. Sitting where I was sitting, watching what he was doing, he deserved the win, to be honest, because he's sliding all over the place, and it was actually entertaining to watch him doing it. But no, it's a great race, really entertaining, and it's good to be back at Mallory Park.
Just looking back quickly on race number 1, what were the conditions too tricky for you?
Oh, just awful, absolutely terrible. And you know, I'm doing it for fun. I'm not doing it to win championships. And I just felt that I'll drive at the speed I'm capable of, feel comfortable driving, and if other people can go faster, then that's all good for them. So yeah, safety first, I thought.
Well done, Ted, on second place. Congratulations. And a word as well with Tom Shepherd. Tom, we spoke to you in race 1 with the victory. Third place in race 2, not a bad weekend.
No, good weekend. Good weekend. You know, get buried by the cars with the horsepower. Can't do anything about them off the line, and then I'm where I am.
And in that one, you had a great fight.